Alright, got about 8 minutes till the stream officially starts. If you are here, then stick around. We'll be starting very soon. Very, very soon. Like on time. Like we'll actually be starting on time. That's what I mean. It is so frustrating that all the biggest streamers start streaming the same time I do. I just got a notification. Jesus. All right, let me take the last 7 minutes of the preparation time for the stream to get ready. All right, if you are here to talk, then just continue to stay in the channel. We'll be starting here in just a moment. I'll be taking opinions, I'll be taking questions, comments, concerns, you know, all the stuff that we can say about stuff. That's what I'll be taking. I'll be taking them, and I take them, and I'll take them, and I'll take them right now. Well, not right now. In 6 minutes. All right. Hey, hey, whoa, hey, why you? I just started a coughing fit. The second I turned the camera on. The second I turned the camera on. Changing that message. So, yeah, I mean. Well, shit. Let's give my message blasts a moment to blast, to do their blasting stuff, and you know, we'll give it some time. We'll give it a few minutes. Let those blasts blast. And as we do that, I'm going to correct the capitalization and grammar errors in my titles. Just because I'm OCD like that. I'm OCD like that. Okay. All right. Well, shit. Okay. I mean, minus the S word, because I just started the stream and don't want to get demonetized. Well, it's gonna happen. You know, we're in this position. It's gonna. I'm gonna get demonetized. If I was in that position to get demonetized, but I don't make money from my videos, so there you go. I'm just gonna dip my head off camera here for a moment. Ever so slightly. Don't worry, I wasn't doing anything, just a little self-medicating. I mean, no, that kind of gives it up, doesn't it? Well, you know, I did want to just start this out by saying, what's up? What's up? We're here under some pretty auspicious circumstances, let me tell you. Behind the television remote. So, if you saw the thumbnail of the video on YouTube, then you know that there's a lot of people who are saying that the guy who just died deserved it. That's very loud. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this music down real quick. All right, perfect. And then we're gonna kind of just talk about it, really. So if you aren't familiar, Charlie Kirk, who is a prominent right-wing, people say right-wing when they mean like conservative, but this guy was, you know, what you would say if you were trying to call something right-wing. Like, he had the extremist views that we are used to from the talking heads on the right. You know, he did I think one of the more disgusting things in that he usually tended to attend universities where he could talk to media untrained youth who would then trip and stutter over their words, or stutter and trip over their words, like I just did, and therefore lose some kind of debate, with the goal being, the ultimate goal being to, I guess, convert, not really convert, because we'll talk about what debate does, and we'll talk about what debate doesn't do as part of this whole thing. But I think that the important thing to take away from his body of work is that it was meant to elicit change within the youth of America. Whether you believe that's for better or worse, you know, is not my place to say, because I don't know what was, you know, on the guy's mind about any particular thing. So I try not to assume what people's intents are. And here's where we kind of get into the meat of what's going on. So first, let me just make sure that I am all set up and live everywhere I'm supposed to be. I'm gonna get some more water, because I'm gonna be talking a lot this stream. All right, I'm gonna get some more water, and then I will regressa presently. All right, give me one moment. Call in with you opinion. I didn't fix that grammar. Suck on it. Chewbacca style. I don't know what any of that means. I don't know what Chewbacca style is. You never know. Chewbacca could have given some crazy top jobs. I don't know. Would he still be alive within the canon of Star Wars right now? I don't know. Why are we talking about Chewbacca giving head? I don't know. I don't know. It's just where the conversation went. You brought it there, not me. How's it going, Psycho? I didn't do anything to deserve this. So, sorry, I just need to check one more thing, and then I can eat my nut bar. I have a nut bar. I can get brain food, or I can consume brain food. I certainly need it. My brain poop. My brain poop. All right, so, well, if you're not familiar with Chili Clerk, my God, oh my God, what was that mess up? What just happened there? Insanity. That was insanity, was what that was. So let's bring him up. Right, so if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, he was a right-wing political activist, author, media personality. He founded Turning Point USA in 2012, which was a concerted campaign by both him and Dennis Prager to kind of uproot the entrenched leftist ideals from our institutions. And Prager went off and did his own thing. Now he has a television network. He's still invested though. And he's sorry, I hate it when people talk while they're eating, but I have to eat. And I really wanted to get this started, so my apologies. It'll be fun. So, as you may or may not know, Charlie Kirk was assassinated yesterday. I think people are calling it an assassination. I'm not quite sure what the term people are preferring to use is. But needless to say that, you know, he was aggressively and unceremoniously unalived. And I want to talk about it today because political extremism is kind of a hot button issue with me. You know, I have... If you didn't know this about me already, I live in Portland. I've marched in many protests. I lived in Seattle. I marched in many protests there. I lived in LA. I marched in many protests there. I lived in Sacramento. One of my best friends got arrested right next to me. The only reason I didn't was because I look white, and she didn't. So, from a very young age, I was introduced to political action. I kind of went to like this hippie school, you know. It was a charter school, performing in fine arts, but it was a bunch of like rich kids that went there. And, you know, I find that the prevailing sort of mentality to the people that ran that school was sort of the live and love and sort of, you know, live, laugh, love, all that kind of stuff. So, while I was in high school, you know, when you're in high school, you're volatile, you want to like go and make changes in the world. And so I did that. I attended rallies and protests for free Palestine and free Tibet and all that kind of stuff. Unionization, etc., etc. You know, First Amendment stuff. Ads, okay, good. Fucking pre-rolls. I'm so sorry if you had to deal with a pre-roll just now. I try to make them as infrequent as possible. But if you see a pre-roll, then you now know that I've got affiliate. So, congratulate me. I'm still pretty stoked about it. Alright, so TPUSA, as I like to call it, because that makes me think that it's, you know, built on a house of toilet paper, which is funny. Funny to me. It's the little things that make us laugh. If we don't laugh, we cry. So, oh, they even updated the thing. So if we look at the body of Charlie Kirk's work, I think it's safe to say that he didn't rub a lot of people the right way. And over the last few hours, at least right before I went to bed last night, I heard a lot of opinions about the man that expressed quite a bit of judgment. And not that I wouldn't have done that myself, but in the end, where we tend to be divided, even if we're on the same side, is did he deserve to die or did he not deserve to die? And God, I have to really stress myself out and I have to like wonder why I'm mourning for a man that I didn't like, that I hated, like a seething red hot hatred. And I find myself mourning this man. That's what's called empathy. If you have the capacity to take yourself and put yourself in another person's shoes and imagine what life would be like if you were that person and this happened to you, then I do that for his daughters, I do that for his wife, for his family, and I am able to understand the pain that they're probably experiencing right now, which is why it puts me on the side of nobody deserves to die. That's, I guess, perhaps the point that we're going to end up reaching here after the 3 hours of commentary that you're probably going to hear about this, is that killing is not okay. If we make the decision to end somebody's life, we are making an antithetical decision to society and to civilization. The way that we gathered behind walls or fences and decided that it wasn't okay to kill, we set a new standard for society. And maybe it was an imperative to compete with other Homo species in order to obtain special dominance or whatever, but the survival imperative turned to a societal imperative. When in any video game that you've played that goes through different eras, like Age of Empires, that's a good one. That goes through up to, or at least I think Age of Empires 3 went up to modern day, didn't it? Maybe not modern day. Age of Mythology I know went up to modern day, but the point is, you start to focus on different things as a society as you level up. And when you move from a nomadic type of society where it's important to leave people behind or to cut others off from obtaining that place in the food chain, then you now have to change your focus to something else. There are still people who believe that it is okay to kill. And I think there will kind of always be a section of humanity who thinks that the wholesale killing of a person who doesn't necessarily deserve it is okay. And to them I say, this whole stream is going to be for you. Let's try and examine some of that. I would love for someone who wants to justify Kirk's death to call in so that I can maybe understand where you're coming from. But currently, I think that it is a misinterpretation of your own feelings to support or encourage or endorse any of the stuff that happened. I think that there's 4 different types of, that's 8. There's 4 different types of people that we're talking about when we talk about the Charlie Kirk thing. I'll pull it up. I'll pull up a doc. I'll make an empty doc. Don't look at any of my stuff. It's all copyrighted. I'm kidding. I don't even have the reputation to copyright anything, so feel free to steal whatever you want. It won't affect me. You'll probably get famous before I do. That's sort of the thing that I've noticed, about me, is that I'm good at like giving other people the avenue to go and do things. It's a bit of a commentary on my own level of success. A little sad, a little depressing, but sometimes you got to come to realizations about yourself. So, here's what we know. Right? Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit. I think that a lot of people can agree on that. I don't think that there's a majority of people anywhere who would say that a person who spews as much hate as this guy did is not a piece of shit. I don't know if... I think I got that correct. There's not a lot of people who would say this guy's not a piece of shit. Yeah, correct. Okay. That being said, he was also a father, a husband, a dedicated community member, whether you agree with anything he said or not. That's the key here. That's what we have to look past within ourselves. We have to understand that there is nothing like. I have to ask first? So the person's dead. So what we do is we start from death. Is death okay? Is killing okay? Death, it happens. It's a part of life. That's just a natural cycle that occurs on Earth. But is killing okay? And I would say that in the beginning of our civilization, in the beginning of our history as human beings, I think that a case could be made that killing's okay. But as you evolve and as you start to form societies and as you start to develop edicts and policies and laws and express your morals throughout the community, based on whatever it is, whether it's based on religion or based on just your own precepts of what is okay and what isn't okay, you evolve past the need to murder. So I find it hard to believe that anyone could justify that there is a necessity to kill somebody. And I think that a lot of the support for what has happened comes from people who, A, don't know better. Maybe you're young, maybe you are conflicted, maybe you don't understand the finality of death. Maybe to you, death is so common in your life that it's not a big deal. But to the majority of people, death is a big deal. Killing is a big deal. And I think that probably the point of why I'm saying anything in the first place is to maybe help people like kind of take a step back and try to look at things empathetically for a bit. And if you still can't muster up the sympathy for his 3-fucking-year-old daughter, then you should probably, you know, find a specialist to help you talk through some of the stuff that you're experiencing, because that is not normal. Why do you think, like, we have a almost even split down the middle in America as far as ideologies are concerned? I mean, there's some outliers, like Christianity is a little bit of a higher percentage than the middle, and like other religions like Islam is like an infinitesimally small percentage of, you know, the American breakup. But we tend to be split pretty evenly down the middle on a lot of different issues. And regardless of what group you choose to demonize, which I do not support the demonization of any group, but regardless of what group that you try to demonize, the line ends at killing. That's when the authorities are brought in. That's when you no longer have the right of free speech. That's when you cannot gather peaceably anymore, when a killing occurs. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people who would try to say, like, well, he was involved in a lot of systems that led to potential suicides and other killings as well. But by golly, if we were to hold everybody responsible for third fucking degree, for like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, for their responsibility in the elimination of whole groups, then sure. I mean, I guess, yeah, a lot of people would be on trial. A lot of people would have been executed and just killed in the streets if that was sort of how if we did the eye for an eye thing. But the whole reason why people say eye for an eye is not because they're saying I want an eye for an eye. They're trying to remind y'all that eye for an eye makes the whole fucking world blind. So let me summarize just the intro part of what I've been saying, the first 16 minutes of what's been going on here, by saying that Charlie Kirk, goddamn, I'm gonna be doing that all day. Charlie Kirk was, in fact, a piece of shit. But he was also a father, a husband, a dedicated community member, and he truly believed a lot of the things he said. There were certain lines he couldn't cross politically, but if you consumed any of his stuff, and I will say that I have consumed a lot of Charlie Kirk stuff over the years. If you go back through a lot of my videos, I criticize a ton of his stuff on stream and whatnot. Like I very publicly did not like the guy. I would I think, oh no, it was oh fuck, Tucker Carlson. No, it wasn't him. I called somebody a pedophile. Oh shit, who was it? Oh, Matt Gaetz. Bam, shakalaka boom. I remembered. I called Matt Gaetz a pedophile on Twitter when Elon Musk wasn't the runner of Twitter, and I got banned. Needless to say, I feel pretty vindicated about that. But also, I still wouldn't wish him dead. And God, you know, I find it so hard. Like, I'm trying to balance my feelings between two extremes, right? I find myself angry that this type of shit is still going on. I mean, I understand that political violence has kind of been a thing for the last 400 or 500 years, maybe 1,000 years, maybe as long as governments have existed, as long as any form of government has existed. And it really like hammers home that shit that I learned in history class in 11th grade, where the quote, I think it was Voltaire, I don't remember specifically, or no, I think it was a president that said it, absolute power corrupts absolutely. If we understand that the systems that we are participating in are geared towards dividing us, then perhaps you might be able to develop a little bit of empathy when something bad happens to somebody on the other side of the aisle. It's not us versus them. I don't know how many times people have to tell y'all this, but it's not us versus them. It's not the right versus the left. It's the people who want to be reasonable and who want to seek peace versus the people who don't. And I don't think there's been any of Charlie Kirk's stuff that I've heard that has had him encourage violence against any group. Physical violence, I mean, you know, like, if we want to, as I said yesterday on a Discord that I was talking in, if we want to stretch the definition of stochastic terrorism, then sure. We could label Charlie Kirk a terrorist, but we could label a lot of other people terrorists as well, and it would stick. But the problem is that merely expressing hate towards a group or merely expressing your desire to see systems change does not a warrant to your death create. I hate to break it to you. Now, why is killing wrong? Why killing wrong? Well, child. Because if you remove someone from society, I said this earlier and I wanted to quote it almost exactly, but I don't know if I'll be able to do that. No matter the wrongs they've done, we ultimately fail. We fail in the opportunity they might have had to grow, change, learn, and we fail society as a whole by violating I guess the most important societal imperative. Now, just to kind of, why did I capitalize that? Just to hammer it home here. Why is killing wrong? Why is the killing of another human being wrong? If you remove someone from society, no matter the wrong they've done, we ultimately fail. We fail in the opportunity they might have had to grow, change, or learn. And we fail as a society as a whole by violating the most important societal imperative. As I said before, there are 4 groups of people in this world. On either side of the law, on either side of the aisle, on either side of, the poverty gap. One group of people is opposed to the other group, believes what they say, and uses every opportunity that they can to try to instruct and to try to help others learn, grow, and change. The other group is trying to take advantage of the first group, And the difference between those those are two subsets of groups, but the difference between those two subsets is that one is willing to kill and the other is not. It feels like it's just a basic thing to not want people to die. It feels like it's the most natural thing ever to not have the urge to wish death upon people that we don't know. And the worst part about this is, again, that I now have to grieve for a man that I fucking hate because some stupid asshole took it upon themselves to put points in the conservative column. So I guess I'm pissed and I'm depressed, and like, no matter how much you hate somebody, isn't it a better and more rewarding punishment to see them lead a long, miserable life? To have to be held to account for the things that they've done? You would have to believe that life goes on after death in order to believe that death is a good solution to whatever the problem is. Because then they're going to be punished somehow. Or they don't get to live in reality, they're going to go be somewhere else. No, you switch off a light switch, and he's becoming space dust. That's the easy way out as far as I'm concerned. I used to think, and I feel so bad for saying this, but I'm one of those people who has been kind of surrounded by death my entire life. A lot of my friends, for some reason or another, because I am involved in the communities of that tend to be ostracized. Like, you know, when I was growing up, I was in the Black community and the Latino community and doing activism for that. And then when I was going into college, I was in part of the LGBTQ community and trying to help queer people, you know, gain a voice, and trying to help trans people be part of the community and stuff like that. So, like, I have had a lot of people who left me early, you know, just to put that succinctly. And I used to think to myself, man, I have no sympathy. I have no sympathy whatsoever. If you're going to choose to make a decision that results in the end of your life, then I can't have sympathy for you. You made your own decision. You made your own bed. You need to lie in it. And I think in trying to reason through this, in having to understand why I'm so angry that I'm grieving for somebody that I hated so much, I think I've come to an epiphany on what I was feeling before. And if I'm going to put it in a more appropriate wording, what I really meant to say is that I was angry at them for not reaching out. I was angry at myself for not reaching out to them. I was in that phase where I was like, there had to have been something that I could have done. And I think what I'm most angry about here is this is reflective of what people want to do to marginalized people. This is a representation or a beginning to a normalization or a continuation of a beginning to a normalization towards making this okay. I think it's going to get a lot worse in the next couple of weeks, because Charlie Kirk was a personal friend to Trump, and there's every possibility that his stooges could be in his ear right now, his worm tongues, telling him to seek revenge. And he's already trying to wage war on campuses in general, so it's concerning. Anyway, the call links should be active. If you'd like to call in and give your opinion, I would really like to hear from someone who wishes to justify this in some way. I want to hear where you're coming from, because I can't wrap my head around people supporting this kind of violence, and it's a shame to see, because I thought we were better than that. I thought that collectively, on the tolerant side of things, that we had, you know, kind of moved past cheering on murder. But maybe I'm just naive. I don't know. I thought that we were past all this, you know. But yeah, I don't know. Waiting room is open. There currently is nobody in the waiting room. Just Just make sure that I can see it. The call links should be in the chat, as well as I believe the description also has the general Discord in it, so feel free to join that and then hop into the waiting room if you'd like. Taking all opinions. I'm also today we can still do the video games and tarot readings, but this is such like an important thing in the news right now that I kind of wanted to kind of stick to this. I'm sorry, normally I have been trying to tone down the political stuff a lot recently, but I think this is kind of this is one of those things. So in general, what we know so far, I think still is the FBI has released, I think, a picture or two of the suspected shooter, and from what I heard in the news this morning, it seems like they were very likely of college age. So, and like, what if? See, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put this in perspective by trying to offer a justification, by trying to myself say, how would this have been justified? How would the shooter have tried to justify this? Maybe that's a better way of saying it. I don't think that it's important to try and justify it. I think it's important to like try to climb into the headspace of the person who did this and maybe try to glean some sort of insight. But I can't think of a circumstance in which I would find it ever okay to just kill somebody, unless they were actively, like, if they had a knife and they were like stabbing me, and unless I did something, they were going to end my life. I cannot just, you wouldn't find me climbing up a clock tower and trying to take the shot. So what else do we know about it? Donald Trump announced Charlie Kirk's death before any media outlet. As far as I was aware, he was still in critical condition even 20 minutes after the whole thing happened. But within 10 to 15, Trump had made a tweet saying that he was dead. Now, was he just notified ahead of everybody else? Or was there some ahead beforehand knowledge of what was going on? I don't know, probably not. But in the vein of a lot of the same political violence that's been going on recently, like the assassination attempts on Trump, the murder of the senator or governor or whatever, and the injury of her husband, and the planned murder of another senator, like I don't think that we're in a ramp up. I think that we're just kind of like activating now, and I think that anyone who had an axe to grind or who's been manipulated by whatever conspiratorial bullshit might be true, they're now taking action. And I don't think this is the last we're going to see it. I think Kirk was probably the most prominent of he had both the religious and the conservatives on his side, so you had kind of that, the Venn diagram is sort of surrounded by the Charlie Kirkosphere. Yeah, fuck, man. I would much rather really have a conversation about this. So if somebody could call in, that'd be great. Even if you agree with me, like, I'm trying to bounce this idea off of someone. Like, I need like a sounding board, But ideally, if you think that it was justified, like, I want to hear from you. I want to understand why. I want to understand why you think it was justified. What are some reasons when it's okay to kill? Like, maybe I could put that as like a thing here, So, call in and answer that question. When is it okay to kill? So far, when someone's actively endangering or when someone is about to end your life. What else? Self-defense. We've got self-defense up. Is it permissible to kill somebody who is going after your children? I would argue in some cases, sure, if they were trying to murder your children right in front of you, then killing them in self-defense, I mean, again, that would fall into self-defense, I think. Like, defense of the self probably should include your family, right? I would assume. That sounds plausible, right? I hope. Yeah. Sorry, I'm multitasking again. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be better about this. Okay, sorry. I got distracted. Oh man. Well, feel free to call in. If I don't get any call-ins, I thought this was going to be a topic that people were going to want to discuss, but I am, I guess, now just falling back on my regular luck. Just fucking I see like people who stream and they get like 10 callers immediately, and I'll stream for 3 hours and for 6 months and I'll get 1 call. It's a little, what do you call that? Disheartening. I hope this stuff doesn't seem low effort. I hope that if there's a criticism that I can at least like learn something, but it's disappointing, you know. We got like 3 viewers when we were playing Battlefield yesterday, and that was a record. Well, I don't know. Charlie Kirk's dead, and I think that, you know, seeing the number of people who are celebrating it is really disappointing. And I think that what's most important right now is that we try to learn from each other, and that we try to learn from, especially the people who are just trying to justify it, and try to understand where they're coming from. Because it's like, man, like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it, you know? What? What is happening right now? My internet is, oh, it's my phone is overheating. That's what. Okay, fine. I have to make it go to sleep again. Okay, so what I wanted to do in addition to this is look at threads, because I want to see what the bots are saying, right? So you see, it's gonna get even worse. So Larry Elder's a piece of shit also, but listen to what he says. The Trump deranged part of the American left shed more tears for illegal alien Kilmar Abrego Garcia, MS-13 gang member, wife-beater trafficker of illegal aliens, and solicitor of nude photographs from a minor than for Charlie Kirk, a hero to conservatives. That dude, it doesn't fucking matter what you did, you don't deserve to die. And it doesn't matter what you did, that people are, like, it doesn't matter what your enemies are accusing you of, you don't deserve to be deported from the country for no reason. Some rando is saying the killing of Charlie Kirk was a direct attack on free speech. Myself, as a man of color, have seen his debates, and they were amazing and really thought-provoking. He wasn't racist at all. Sure, yes, he was. And went against the grain that the left agenda kept pushing down everybody's throats. Anyone rejoicing in this man's murder, block me immediately. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get more and more extreme. Like, I think this was, you know, I don't know if it was orchestrated, but it seems like this is gonna be so much more of a win for extremists on the right than it will be for anybody on the left. So I think what happens is the social disconnect comes from the right when they believe that the left believes the same things that they do. And the left just doesn't. Like, more or less, the left does not endorse wholesale killing. But the right says, well, you guys kill millions of babies every year. We don't see it that way, though. You have to assume that we know we're killing people in order to feel like it's justified to want us dead too. And so they have to make this presupposition that we're all monsters and that we want to kill things and that we want everything dead and we want to just end the American way of life or whatever. And that's just not the case. Fuck. So saying that any of this is left versus right is just ignorant and fucking dangerous. His debates were not amazing, and they did not provoke thought. They provoked division, and they provoked hate. Doesn't mean you deserve to die, though. As of right now, multiple HBCU, I don't know what that means, are on lockdown, some of them based on direct threats. Not even 24 hours after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, they have somehow connected a shooting that took place in Utah to HBCUs. I don't know what that means. Hey, Chase, what's up? You know, that's the thing, like, I don't, you may not be a person that I would agree with, but I agree with you on that. Didn't deserve to die. They have somehow connected a shooting that took place in Utah to HBCUs. If somebody knows what an HBCU is, please let me know. Mostly in the South. How, period did, period we, period get, period in, period this. Bad grammar, but okay. It took them less than a day to blame black people. Without evidence, without information, just racism. What? What? I don't understand that take. I think there's some context here that I'm not quite gathering. Let's see. Meet Leo Frick Thomas Jr. He works at so this guy's trying to dox someone, which I don't really like. Let's not do that. Right-winger saying, what if someone mocked your death after you got publicly murdered? See, this is, I think, probably one of those shit takes that I'm going to disagree with. It's so funny because I'm a black queer woman. Y'all would mock my death whether I mocked Charlie Kirk or not. Lemayo, I don't GAF. So, addressing this directly, I would say that the bigger person isn't going to say, well, you did it, so I'm going to do it. That's not what that means. That's not what the bigger person walks away means. The bigger person doesn't walk away with the last word. The bigger person walks away in spite of their fucking feelings. This is the same kind of person who would say, oh, well, you know, this is not the same kind of person who would say, but they would fail to argue against the idea that, you know, just because Islamists, extremists in Islam, want gay people dead, I should now want Islamists dead. That's fucking ridiculous. I can hate somebody, I can disagree with them, even if they want me dead, and I still do not have to wish for their murder in return. It's not a tit for tat. It's not an eye for an eye. That's not how fucking civilization works. And we've like taken all these terms like society and civilization, and we've perverted them to mean something weak or like bereft of any kind of nuance, when society is the fucking nuance. Civilization is the nuance. That's what we evolved into by eliminating the need for murder. If you're outraged over this and you advocate for the death penalty, then suck a big fucking dick. Suck a big fucking dick. Go fuck yourself. If you don't believe that reform is possible and you are like outraged over this death, like, the hypocrites sleep well tonight, my friends. So here's something that I don't necessarily agree with as well. I don't unfriend often, but when I see someone bashing Charlie less than 24 hours after he was assassinated, I'm not hesitating to remove them from my social media list. I don't care if you disagree with him, shut up. Totally fine. Totally fine to not want to see that stuff in your feed. But also understand that there are people who feel passionately about their hate for Charlie Kirk, and regardless of what you believe about his death, the circumstances surrounding his death, whether he deserved it or not, whether you tried to justify it or not, saying that Charlie Kirk is a piece of shit is not in and of itself a minimization of anything that happened. You're simply stating something that you believe to be true. So bashing, saying that he was a piece of shit or that he espoused dangerous and monstrous ideas, I don't agree with that. If you believe that his killing was the end of free speech, like a lot of y'all are saying, then, you know, why would you go further and say that people aren't allowed to have the opinion they want over it? Are you seriously tooting? I feel like it's like she's pooped in the couch. It's like she has pooped on the couch. It's like she has pooped on the couch because it smells like just straight up poop. After 9/11, Palestinians cheered in the streets. No, they did not. As the Western world mourned. No, they did not. After the assassination of Charlie Kirk, cheering is happening. Right. But not overseas in a foreign language, but liberals among us in our own country. Yeah, there are assholes in every group of fucking people. Not all the people, no leftists believes that everybody on the left is good. Yet we have a lot of righties who think that everyone on the right is good, as in opposition to people on the left. Like, it makes me so confused. Like, how you're gonna generalize people and then not want to be generalized. What? Ay, ay, ay. It makes me so ill how these Democrats in Congress, when Mike Johnson asked for a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk's family, they all began shouting and would not come to order. They are like the most vile, disrespectful, angry beings. It's hypocrisy is going to be the name of the game today. For the next 24 hours, it's all going to be hypocrisy. They're all just going to talk about how, you know, y'all do it, but when it happens to one of us, y'all don't talk about it. It's the same thing you guys have been doing this entire time. Doesn't justify it, but perhaps y'all need to take a step back. So it's almost like, have you ever seen those videos where people on YouTube, like, they react to like other people reacting? It's a reaction to a reaction, and they're just simply going like, that's kind of what this thread reminds me of, where he says, like, you know, it makes me so ill. Ugh. They all begin with, they're the most vile, disrespectful, angry beings. Forgetting, of course, the fact that Republicans have been pretty bad themselves. You know, I think that there's going to be, like I said, there's 4 groups of people. One group's willing to kill the other groups, or one pair of groups is willing to kill, the other's not. If you are in Congress, you're a performer. You are a circus monkey. You are a dancing bear. Your goal is to look like you're there doing work for the American people. And then you collect your six digits and you go on your 16 weeks of vacation. That's kind of just how Congress operates. They do sound bites, they make weak arguments, and they filibuster. And regardless of what laws they're putting forth, they usually vote down party lines. There's a few people that will sometimes break, but they are few and far between. They're getting more and more rare as they die off. If Democrats are saying anything during this moment of silence for Charlie Kirk's family, it's performative, and they're trying to get a rise not only out of your base, but also their own. I think that it's crazy to look at people in Congress and think these are normal people. This is how everyday people act, because it's not. If you ever watched a session of Congress, you would know that. So yeah, I think it's just kind of, it's hypocritical. A lot of the thoughts and sound bites and tweets and stuff like that come from the right side over the next couple of weeks are going to be straight up hypocrites, or it's hypocritical. It's not really any way to avoid that. It's in debate. It's all about whataboutism. It's all about, well, this guy did that. Don't you think that's bad too? Well, yeah, I can think both are bad. It's just like that. It's the same thing. The amount of people condoning the assassination of Charlie Kirk is alarming. A wife lost her husband, 2 kids lost their dad, and a man was shot and killed for having an opinion. I'm literally sick to my stomach. Do better. I agree. And we may be on opposing sides of the aisle, but I agree. I don't know that necessarily we are, but I agree. Anyone laughing at the assassination of Charlie Kirk can feel free to get off my page, whether you've agreed with his opinions and what he said or not. He was a husband, son, and father. If you laugh at that, then you are part of the problem. Agreed. So there's this thing within us that lights up. There's this thing in our brains, this part of our brains that lights up when we do something satisfying, or when we have a sexy thought. And that part of the brain is pretty connected. Like, that part of the brain is pretty all-encompassing, and the sensations of satisfaction as well as the sensations of sexy times are blended in pretty easily with anger and frustration and depression. It just depends on what kind of person you are and what experiences you've had that connect those with other parts in your brain and bring them to your conscious. So a person that is justifying this may have had some kind of trauma in their past that they haven't quite processed fully, and how that's manifesting is them expressing sympathy for a murderer, or endorsing a death of somebody. All that is a manifestation of something else. I would say that if you find yourself wanting to say it's a-okay that this man is dead from an assassination, that you need to go and seek therapy, and not because you're crazy, you're saying something bad, not because of that, but because there is something very real within you that might have been cracked or broken, and you need to address that. Nobody should be wishing for anybody's death. If you do, it's a glitch. It's some kind of a disconnect between certain parts of your brain and other parts, and that's all it is. You just need to get into a specialist who can help you reconnect those parts of your brain so you can find your fucking empathy back. Tommy is God. Charlie Kirk is a casualty in the world he advocated for. I think that if we wanted to say anything that was even in line with those people who wanted to justify this, I think that would be the limit of what we could say. I think that if nothing else, Charlie Kirk set up his environment, and whether or not that directly resulted in his death, it's not my concern. My concern is the killing in the first place. My concern is the needless killing of somebody. I'm gonna bring this up again. If you remove someone from society, no matter how wrong they've done, we ultimately fail. We fail in the opportunity they might have had to grow, change, or learn. We fail as a society as a whole by violating the most important societal imperative. Killing is wrong. And if you disagree with that, then again, like, that's sort of the point that I'm trying to make, is that there's something that needs to be addressed in your own life, and I'm not going to try and posit specifically what people's problems are, but a lot of that comes from insecurity, apathy, trauma, and these are all things that are very hard to let go of without real hard work and like a specialist to help you out, you know? It sucks, man. See, and here's more whataboutism, right? Right versus left ideology. After the murder of George Floyd, a known drug user and felon, cities were burned coast to coast in outrage. First of all, no cities were burned down. I don't know why that's still something that people just accept as true. In Portland, which is where I live, which was one of the most burned down cities over the 250 days of protests, most of which I attended, there was $30 million, 250 days. It seems like a large amount of money, but it's not. There was $30 million worth of damage done. I broke down the frickin' numbers on stream one time. I showed the figures for what had actually gotten burned, what had actually been burnt down. The facade of one building, the sidewalk in front of another building, 2 dumpsters, 16 piles of trash. Nobody got hurt. Nobody burnt down a building. No city blocks burnt down. Nothing happened. I find it crazy that people are still talking about that like it happened. Other than that, it doesn't matter that George Floyd was a known fucking drug user or felon. None of that matters. That doesn't matter. We're whatabouting here. It's not, again, it's not tit for tat. It's not an eye for an eye. It's not you got one of our guys, so we get to get one of yours. That's not what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be a functioning, safe place where people can grow and prosper, where we can all learn from each other, from our differences, and grow from that. Not stifle each other. Like, come on. After the murder, oh, here's another whataboutism take. What is wrong with this person's mouth? I'm really hoping that that person has an accent. Do you see how they're overpronouncing their words? Oh my gosh. Let's see. After the murder of a white girl on a train by the black man, and the assassination of Charlie Kirk by some left-wing hitman, nobody knows who the person is, but okay, I'm pissed. I'm burning mad and disgusted. Wait. So someone white died, and then Charlie Kirk died, and now you're pissed? I'm burning mad and disgusted. I want justice. I'm certain a large number of Americans feel like I do. Did we riot? Did we loot our stores? Did we burn our towns? No, we didn't do any of these senseless violence because we are civilized. We don't take out this frustration on innocent people. We are the rational side. Not to mention the fact that this is blatantly racist. He's saying that, like, I know that he's not particularly, like, specifically saying that only black people commit crimes, but this says that. The murder of a white girl and Charlie Kirk. He didn't say anything about any of the people who are murdered, any of the innocent people black people who've been murdered. Like, he's just saying these two people who happen to be white. But then he says also, I'm certain a large number of Americans feel like I do. Did we riot? He's talking about black people. Did we loot our stores? He's talking about black people. Did we burn our towns? He's talking about black people. No, we didn't do any of that senseless violence because we are civilized. He's talking about white people. Ouch. We don't take out this frustration on innocent people. He's talking about white people. We are the rational side. He's talking about white people. Forgetting, of course, who took slaves in the first place. Whatever the point he's trying to make is moot because he's a fucking racist. What Charlie Kirk stood for, a comprehensive list. Getting young people to vote Republican. Fighting to preserve traditional power structures. Wealthy, white, Christian, straight, cis, able-bodied, and avoid progress. Now, I guarantee you that this person is probably saying this in order to justify it. In order to say why it was okay. I hope not. But that's really what it feels like. That doesn't mean that he deserved to die. That doesn't mean that. You all know. That doesn't mean that you get to just kill somebody. Like, how did we get... Yeah, like, all of a sudden, it's like all of the psychos... Forgive me, psycho. But all of the all of these psychotic people who have something broken within them are just like popping up out of the woodwork. Crazy. So let's see if...
Continue his mission.
Yeah, okay. So she does have an accent. Thank the fucking Lord. I thought that it was going to be some kind of a scary overpronunciation, like, we will continue your mission, Charlie. That would have been scary. If you're just joining, thank you for joining. We're talking about Charlie Kirk today. It's, you know, I think part of me being so pissed off about this, I didn't want to fucking talk about Charlie Kirk today. I want to play some fucking video games. Borderlands comes out on Monday. I wanted to get in my BF 2042 time before Borderlands comes out, you know? But it's in the news. It's a big thing. And there's so many people on my side of the aisle who are saying that it was totally cool and that he deserved it. Like, fuck, man. So, let's talk about a cultural phenomenon. When you're younger, you have very firm beliefs. And it kind of seems like the opposite because younger people are more advocative. Like, they are more of advocates for things that they believe in, which means like they're the ones that are out marching. They're the ones that are out, you know, breaking the windows and stuff. Like, it's usually young people who have the most extreme beliefs because they're so passionate about what they believe. And the older you get, the more things you have, the more, you know, family, you get family, you get married, maybe you have some kids, you know, you go to school, you have a degree, you get a job, you have a career, all this kind of stuff. You've got the standard of living. As you gain more and more things, you become more and more conservative. It's been statistically proven that the older people get, the more conservative they get. And that doesn't mean necessarily politically, it just means personally. They don't want to see the things that they've worked so hard for over the years go away. So it's very natural for people to not like change. Like, that's why so many people are like, oh, I just don't like change. That's a great way to explain that. It's just that things that we have to adjust to are a lot harder to adjust to when we're older. And it's because we have so much and we have so much of an established life that, you know, it's kind of like a concrete bedrock there at that point. And I think that it's important to make it very clear that just because you're young and you're passionate about something, you may not actually wish for the deaths that you're praising. What it is that you may have an issue with whatever it is that's going on that has been unresolved, and you're really just trying to rationalize your anger and your passion and your insecurity, and perhaps even your guilt over feeling any kind of sadness over this event. So you feel like you have to overcompensate by saying, nah, totally cool, I have no sympathy whatsoever. But then I look at an old guy like Matt Dillahunty, who says he has no sympathy whatsoever at all. None. And like, man, I think that we've spent so long treating each other as numbers or just faces on the other side of a screen that we forget that we're still all human beings. And yes, the right is responsible for a lot of that. A lot of that. If we have to talk about who is more dehumanizing of either the right or the left, it's definitely the right. It's definitely the place where Westboro Baptist Church calls home. It's definitely the place where most churches call home, where Kent Hovind, the guy that's like lies about having like tarot cards under his like pew seats or whatever, like those are all people who set things up for us to be divided and to hate each other, vilifying the other side, demonizing, whatever you want to call it. Those are the people who do that kind of stuff. But we cannot buy into that. Like, if you're young and you're passionate and you're angry that a person is advocating for the removal of an entire group, I feel you. I can sympathize. I can empathize. I was there myself. But also, you have to accept that there's a large majority of these people who don't actually want anybody else dead and don't want them removed from society. Charlie Kirk was one of those people, man. He was a true zealot. What he advocated for, and I have consumed so much of his I think the people on my side of the aisle who are praising this haven't consumed his content like I have. I have watched many hours of his stuff. And while I don't like him, while I know in my bones that he is a piece of shit, he never once said that he wants trans people dead. He never once said that he wants atheists dead, or that he wants women dead, or that he wants black people dead. He never once said any of that shit. What he said was he wants to try and find a common ground between everybody. But what that really means to him is that he wants to detransition people. He wants to convert people back to being straight, and he wants to like have everybody be Christian. Like, but why? You have to ask yourself why. It's because he truly believed that that was the best way of life, and that the people who weren't doing that were simply misguided. Like, you cannot just assume that this dude wanted people to just up and die, and therefore you're like, oh, okay, well, it's okay that he did. That's a huge leap. And then last night I saw like someone said that they have no sympathy for his daughter. I'm like, she's 3. What does she have to do with any of this? And they admitted like nothing. They didn't have anything to do with it. And I was like, what? Okay. And it's but like because she was connected to Kirk. And I was like, but wait, she's just like a normal person. Like, it had nothing to do with anything. And I think they were like, oh, you know, I'm supposed to just like feel sad over like a random person like dying. And I'm like, yeah. Yes. And then they were like, oh, what? I'm supposed to have performative sympathy for someone that like was intrinsically against every single one of my personal values? Yeah, not performative. No, real empathy. Real sympathy. At least for his daughter. She had nothing to do with anything he said. She wasn't part of a right-wing movement. She's 3. If some little girl, cute as a button, came up to you, tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, I don't know why I was starting a Donald Trump speech there. But if she tears in her eyes and she holds up a teddy bear to you and she says like, my daddy died yesterday. Like, are you gonna just be like, all right, whatever, get the hell out of here, you little bitch. I'm busy. I don't think so. I don't think that's what most people would do. Oh man, it's like, it's crazy. Anyway, if you agree that Charlie Kirk did not deserve to die, even if you liked him or disliked him or whatever, please like and subscribe. The one hurdle that I have to overcome for this channel, and I don't know how else to put this in like a more entertaining way or a less, you know, meh, woe is me, beggy kind of way, but please like and subscribe. It is such a thing that is so easy to ignore these days, and I gotta admit, I don't do it most of the time. I even said, if I get to a certain point, I will actually on stream put my money where my mouth is. I will go and I will sub to all the people that I have watched, and I will like every single one of their videos that I've ever watched. I will do it on stream. If I am able to build this community into something, I will do that. I will put my money where my mouth is. I will try not to be a hypocrite, and I'll do the work. All right? But that's just me asking you to follow, like, and subscribe. Okay? So I would really appreciate it. If you want more discussions like this, we do talk. The only reason we're doing this today is because it's a special occasion, and I hate to say that, it's a negative connotation, but it is a different circumstance than normal. Normally we play pretty chill games on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and on Mondays and Tuesdays we do talk. Wednesdays, Thursdays are gaming, Monday, Tuesdays are talk. And I am always open to having calls. If you want to call in to talk about anything that has happened in the recent news, or just anything in general. On Mondays, we actually do tarot readings, and Tuesdays we do, what did we do on Tuesday? What was it? It was, oh, talents. So I'm trying to bring people in who want to like share their talents, who want to show off creative work that they've done, artwork, writing, things like that. So I really want it to be a community gathering place where people can have a platform for their own stuff. So join us on Tuesdays for that. But Wednesdays, Thursdays, we're just playing video games. Today, however, we are talking about Charlie Kirk, who is dead at 31. Guy, like, man, a lot of the people who are active in politics, he could have been their kid who just got shot. And people are like praising it. Ah, man. We'll get to some more threads here in a second. I'm just gonna smoke a bowl on the side of the camera real quick. So, in case you're wondering where I stand, why kill Wong? Well, it's wrong to kill in the first place. Why kill Wong? If you remove someone from society, no matter the wrong they've done, we ultimately fail. We fail in the opportunity they might have had to grow, change, or learn, and we fail as society as a whole by violating the most important social imperative. That's the most important thing to take away from this. Okay, if you take nothing away, whether you think that I'm a leftist or queer or whatever, I could be all those things for all you know. It doesn't matter. The point is, killing is wrong. And if we kill our opponents, we're going to have nobody left to argue with. And don't you guys like arguing? Don't you like owning the libs? All right. I mean, it wasn't the right that did it, but you get what I'm saying. Give me 1 second. So the whole reason I mentioned the like and subscribe thing is just because we are sitting at a record number of viewers on YouTube. And if you think, hey, you know, this stuff is too good to have so few viewers, then definitely do it, because this is like this is a record. Yesterday we had 3 viewers, right now we have 5. So if you think, hey, this guy needs more views, I'm happy to have you advocate on my behalf. But really, liking and subscribing is the most important part of that. Why kill Wong? So here's a question for you guys. If you want to call in and you don't know what to talk about, the question is, when is it okay to kill? And we can talk about the thought experiment of, you know, would you go back in time and strangle Hitler in his crib? We can talk about the trolley problem. We can talk about anything you want. In order to help me wrap my head around why you would justify this, I want someone, hopefully, who has some argument that they have that justifies the killing of this man, because I want to understand. I don't want to condemn, I don't want to like debate about it. I just want to understand where you're coming from. I can't justify it. All I can say is that killing is wrong in a matter of self-defense, and this was not that. So I hate that I'm grieving for a man that I fucking hated. I hate that someone forced that upon me. I hate that this man had to die in order for this person to feel like they had gotten their message across. It's all bad. So I disagree with probably most of this. Okay, not most of this, but shaving opinion. I don't know what his particular stance was on shaving, but I don't think it's a shaving opinion that he was assassinated for. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk, absolutely awful. Poor wife and kids. He was a great man and has done more in his 31 years on this planet than some others. Be more vague if you could, please, about his accomplishments. Getting shot for shaving opinion. Then there was a massacre in Colorado. Then on 13th in London. Wonder what will happen there. Frowny face, grimacing face. World is nuts. The things I read on social about the man are absolutely vile. People celebrating bang out of order. Obviously, this person is from the UK. I can tell because they say bang out of order. He wasn't a great man. I think that it's entirely okay to say that a man who's now dead was a shitty person, but did not deserve to die. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair simplification, if that's, you know, if you want to go with the idea of a simplification, of simplifying it. That's just how it be, yo. So again, if you would like to call in, we have call-in links in the chat and I believe the description as well. Calls are, they're welcome till the end of the stream. I mean, we're going till 3 o'clock today. 2:30. Because I can't go all the way to 3. My wife gets off at 3, so I gotta be at the door to welcome her home like a good little puppy. That's me wagging my tail. It wasn't apparent, but I'm wagging my tail back there. I don't have a tail. I mean, I guess I have a metaphorical tail for the purpose of wagging it. My other dogs have tails. I don't. Not even a vestigial one. Don't even know why I mentioned that. You're a moron if you believe he was killed by a trained shooter like the media says. Trump almost lost his head because of a teenager with a shitty rifle shot him from 160 yards. That guy was just another nutcase with some experience with weapons. This guy. Making a 200-yard shot on a static target while not being under pressure from counterfire like Trump's assassin is very easy. Personally, I've shot birds in my backyard at 100 yards, no problem. This shot wouldn't be hard for anyone. I think it's probably more fair to say that there had to have either been a great amount of skill or a great amount of luck in this particular thing. I think originally it was reported that there were 2 shots. I will spoil myself here on the whole thing and say that I did see the footage. I would not encourage you. Do not seek it out. Don't seek it out. I am from a generation that comes from looking at stuff like Rotten.com and E-Bomb's World, where actual beheadings were mixed in with all of like the normal stuff. So I accidentally saw a lot of that stuff, and I would not encourage anybody to seek it out. Even if you have like a morbid curiosity, like I'm remembering it now and like I just, it breaks my fucking heart. Like I hated the man. Yeah. Oh man, just don't seek it out. But you can kind of hear sort of the moment to moment in the footage. And if you've ever played any kind of like mill sim, they're getting very accurate now. And even to the point where, and the only reason I say this is because I know a lot of my viewers are like in that gaming age and from that community because we play a lot of Battlefield. But if you remember playing like a milsim like Arma, where you know the ballistics are really accurate, the aerodynamics are supposed to be accurate, the way that the bullet drop, the way that the report happens, is all supposed to be pretty accurate. When we're talking about a report, that means like the noise from a gun when it fires, and in a lot of real life scenarios, suppressed weapons with a silencer, if you're ever like, oh yeah, let's put a silencer on this pistol, it doesn't make anything like quiet. It just distributes the gases inside the chamber to be dissipated without making a I don't know if it's without making a sonic boom or if it's with it like just avoiding the crack from the sonic boom. I don't know. And if you're using subsonic rounds, it really doesn't matter anyway. It's going to sound like a click. It'll go like. That is a truly quiet setup if you have subsonic rounds. But I believe that this was a high caliber rifle. They said it was a bolt action, which you can have a bolt action at a 22, so it's not that strange. But most Gravy Seal weapons, most cosplay weapons are going to be the high powered ones. They're going to be the Remingtons or the M13s or the what else is a big one? Smith & Wesson, I think, has a current rifle. Helmet, you probably know better than I would. What was your standard issue? What was your qualification? I think that it was a skilled shooter, and that's pure speculation. And I have my own conspiracy theories about the attempted assassination on Donald Trump. I believe that was orchestrated by his handlers without his knowledge, and perhaps maybe they informed him that somebody was going to make an attempt on his life. But I don't truly believe that all those circumstances happened. Nobody was complacent enough to have allowed the snipers to be positioned across a tree line from the shooter. What I think happened was someone was driven to extremism, whether it's conspiracy theory adjacent or whether it's just simply of their own doing or their community. And they went into a place where they were able to have a good angle and a good shot. And what I notice is that the safety measures weren't put into place. So either it was a huge amount of complacency that led to there not being enough protections or no counter snipers for the Trump event, or it was engineered, or it was some kind of someone let it happen. And it's like if you're watching Alien Earth, how are we gonna get here? Oh, M16A2, okay, there you go. That's a pretty standard gun there. You like your rat-a-tat-tat and your blick-a-black-black. Yeah, they weren't specific. They said it was a high-powered bolt action, which, again, with a 7.62, can be a lot of different guns. Or, I mean, a 308 even, like, is 308 subsonic? No. 9mm subsonic, isn't it? And there's some like pull-out stocks that use that kind of caliber ammunition. I can't remember, man. It's been such a long time since I've been familiar with guns. Like, regardless, the point is that a high-powered bolt action really doesn't mean a whole lot. And since the Kennedy assassination, everyone who ever attempted an assassination was either using a snub-nosed revolver or a Lee Harvey Oswald gun. Everyone wants this guy to be like a godly sniper or whatever. He was 200 yards away. If you've ever been to the shooting range, 200 yards seems like a lot until you're used to it. And this guy says, he used to shoot birds in his backyard at 100 yards. 100 yards is a lot different from 200 yards, first of all. Second of all, there's a narrowing to your eye that happens when you're looking at faraway targets or when you're trying to acquire a target. And it's different than just looking in a direction. You have to focus in on something, and that means the sacrifice of everything else on the outside of your eyes. It's like if you're tunnel visioning in a video game. It's like if you're like really, really into it and you're immersed and you're like right there up next to the screen. That's what it's like when you're shooting. And it's like, Chris Kyle had like it was the book about Chris Kyle, or it was the movie or something, where it said like you have to remove yourself from the situation, and you kind of have to you have to be sitting there and you have to be like, I'm here, but I'm also here. I don't know how he worded that. But the point is, with a little bit of practice, you could very easily be of a 200-meter qualification easily, just plinking targets. So I find it, it's like a little disappointing that you don't hear conspiracy theories about more modern and current stuff and like stuff that is like actually happening. And that you hear conspiracy theories about like flat Earth and, you know, lizard people and stuff like that. God, I know it's more entertaining, but I would love for people to be throwing out like, this is MK Ultra, you know, like I would love for people to be throwing out stuff like that. That would be pretty, like, you know, we could at least address it through that, but there's not even those kinds of misconceptions. Crazy. So I believe that he was, if you look at the positioning, and again, do not, if you can avoid seeing the actual footage and just like see a diagram of where he was hit or something, it was right in the aorta. There was no chance. I don't see, and again, like I was about to say, there's no report. You can't hear a crack. You can't hear, there's no breaking of the sound barrier. There's no crack. There's no, it's so hard to describe. It's like that. If it was unsuppressed, you would have been hearing like a, you know, like you did with the Trump assassination. Like you can play the footage of you heard bullets being fired. And with this, it was one precise shot directly, exactly where it needed to be. I'm even guessing that he wasn't sighted incorrectly and he was aiming for the heart. So yeah, I think that it's real shitty that there's so many differing and increasingly disturbing opinions that are surrounding this matter right now. It's only going to get worse. I called this. Well, I mean, I didn't call it. We haven't seen the end of this yet, but I'm calling it right now. I feel like this is going to get a lot worse. Again, Kirk was a personal friend to Trump, and Trump is the kind of person who likes to do revenge. What's the bets that people laughing and mocking the assassination of Charlie Kirk are the same? Oh my God, are the same R-worded fucks who wave the Palestinian flags? If you're one of them, remove me as a friend. I have no time for people like you. I respect the shit that falls from my arse more than I do you. See what I mean? Like, it's just gonna get worse. If anything, this is gonna divide the country even further than it already was. And obviously, this is even someone who is from America because they say arse. Palestinian flag means nothing. It means the country of Palestine. Palestine is a country where people live. All of those people are not Hamas. Hamas is not all of those people. Regardless of whether you live in an oppressive regime, does not mean that you yourself are evil. Or that you deserve to die, or that if people who support you are monsters. Like, that's all, like, just propagandic bullshit. Libs want you to believe Charlie was a racist who was dividing Americans. That's pretty true. Don't fall for their insane lies. Just because you take a picture with a black person does not mean that you are an arbiter of their rights. Holy fucking shit. Look, he's got a black friend. Charlie Kirk was the Martin Luther King of our time. Okay. I mean, let's tone it down just a little bit. Let's bring that a little bit backwards. I'm fairly certain that MLK was not actively trying to advocate for removal of any one group from society. In fact, I think he was more a fan of inclusion than anything else. So I don't know if I would have said that. Only he didn't fight for civil rights, he fought for everyone's rights. Everyone? Including trans people? Say what you want about it, the man. He may not have deserved to die, but he definitely advocated for people, like, not being trans anymore. So that's not everyone's rights. Right now, there are broadly 3 responses to the murder of Charlie Kirk. 1, mourning a man who and praying for his family, whether you agreed with him politically or not, while condemning the atrocious act of political violence. 2, gleefully mocking his death, justifying his murder because you labeled him something you despise. 3, gleefully prepping for civil war. Hey, Street Trip, what's going on? Welcome back. Today we're doing what everybody probably is going to be doing today, and we're just talking about Kirk, talking about Charlie Kirk, talking about why it's never okay to justify murder. and how surprised and disappointed I am by all the people on, not all the people, by all the people that I've seen on my side of the aisle who have been fully in support of this killing. It's scary and it's disappointing, and you know, I think that it's not just a testament. If I were in the opposite situation, another activist had died, it would be just as tragic. I know. Exactly. People, like, I think, again, as I said earlier, people are leaning on their own insecurity and past trauma that, hey, Gambit Kingdom, what's going on? Hello, back to ya. The younger we are, the more extreme we are, and the more willing we are to see those extremes come to fruition. And the older we get, the more sentimental and the more conservative personally that we get. We don't want to see our things go away. Our family, we don't want to see our family go away. We don't want to see our houses go away, or our jobs, or our livelihoods, or anything like that. So it is a lot easier to wrap your head around why justifying murder is wrong when you're a little bit older. And I hate saying that. I hate saying, like, oh, you'll know better when you grow up, because that robs, like, people of agency, and I want to be able to hold people accountable for the shitty thoughts that they have. So it's a conflict. It's a conflict in my own mind. I don't know if it's a conflict in your guys's, but it's so hard. Gamba, that's exactly what we're talking about today. If you want to know my feelings summed up about the Kirkster, as you put him, here it is. Here's my thing. First, before I put why killing Wong, because I already talked about it. Killing is wrong. Period. So my whole thing is that killing is wrong. Why is killing wrong? Because if you remove someone from society, no matter the wrong that they've done, we ultimately fail. I worded that very specifically. We fail in the opportunity they might have had. We failed in the opportunity they might have had to grow, change, or learn, and we fail as a society as a whole. And we fail society as a whole by violating the most important societal imperative. And so if you disagree with that, I encourage you to use the call-in links. I'm happy to have people, like, you know, talk on stream or whatever. But if you disagree, I have to ask you the question, when is it okay to kill? So far, the only circumstance that I have when it's okay to kill is when someone is imminently about to end your life. Then I believe that killing for the sake of self-defense is okay. That's my personal belief. There may be people who disagree with me on that. Happy to hear any opposing viewpoint. But in other circumstances, I do not believe that it is okay to kill. Can we extend that to the killing of a family member? If someone's actively taking a knife and running after a family member, is it okay to kill then? How far do we remove those circumstances? How far can we be removed from the situation and still be justified in saying that it's okay? These are all things that I'm willing to talk about. But so far, I'm of the mind that simply espousing a belief should not result in somebody's death, nor should being an advocate for things that are antithetical to what you personally believe. Regardless of whether or not you think that he was a monster or evil or amoral or a shitty person, I would agree with all of those things. But if you remove him from society, then nothing else matters. Nothing matters. They can do the same to us. We can do the same to anybody else that we don't like. And then where does it stop? I will be so fucking pissed if this is the shot around the world that starts the Second American Revolution. I will be so fucking pissed that it was such a shitty human being that got people to get off their fucking asses and get out into the streets and do something. I will be so fucking pissed. This will be the guy's legacy. He'll be a martyr. Can you square that, leftists? Like, is this the revolution you wanted? It's the one you're gonna get. Like, fuck, man. Here in London for the big march over the weekend. Is there a march? Oh, I fucking hate this guy. See, okay, so maybe I'll agree. After news of Charlie Kirk today. Nope, I don't agree. If I was a Republican running in the midterms, I'd just clip all those countless posts on X and threads of leftists celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder as what you're supporting if you vote for a Democrat. Oh, and I'd show them the chart from Harvard's latest poll where 1/3 Democrats openly support Hamas now. That is not a thing, first of all. Democrats don't support Hamas. Democrats want to try and work with Hamas because they are saying they want to release hostages. I personally don't believe that's the case. But being open to trying not to encourage more death is a pretty altruistic thing to do. And I think anyone can kind of agree with that. Leftists don't support most of what the Democrats do, just so you guys know. If you're right-leaning, leftists are kind of way more extreme than Democrats. Democrats are more or less centrists. If you're thinking about the center of all of the policies that are involved in our government, the conservatives and Democrats kind of, or Republicans, Democrats, people who don't necessarily call themselves MAGA or you know, on the far right or anything like that, they're pretty well center, like both of them, pretty well center. So I wouldn't equate any of this with, or any of the supporting it from the left, from the extreme left point of view, as being from Democrats, because that's simply just not the case. So. Oh my God, Charlie Kirk, no, he didn't deserve this. He was a godly man. STFU. It was nothing godly about that man. That's why he is no longer here. Okay, the way he died was tragic, yet this man spoke on our ancestors. He had no heart and called himself a Christian man doing the devil's work. Well, baby, guess what? God will show you he is God. See what I mean? Like, earlier, about a half an hour ago, I said that, like, you have to presuppose that you're going to go somewhere when you die in order to be okay with killing people. Either that or you're just an evil person. The reason I say that is because, or I guess maybe here's an explanation as to why I say that. If you believe that there's a punishment after life, then you might want someone to suffer by killing them. That could be a motivator to a murder. If you believe that people all just go to space dust, like if you don't have a god, or if you're atheist or whatever, then you might be more inclined to believe that people suffering on Earth is a worse punishment than simply having a light switch flipped off. So I have to wonder how this person I'm still trying to wrap my head around, how did they justify it? Like, what did they believe was a good reason to do this? Like, that's why I'm trying to get the opinion of people who are trying to justify it, because I want to understand where you're coming from so that I can maybe gain some insight into where that person's mind was. You know, that's really all we can do at this point. Charlie Kirk won forever. When someone dies for a cause, millions more rise up. See, that's kind of what I'm afraid of. You know? It's terrible how much hatred there is in people, and it's become very apparent now. It's always been there. Like, there's not any one event who just brings out new stuff out of someone. It's always bubbling just beneath the surface. So, like, you know how there was that report that came out a while ago that said you know, there's like corruption everywhere in Washington. I mean, that's true. The rising tide lifts all ships. It's not just the Republicans who are like, oh, you know, I have this you know, thing that a bunch of money that I ended up getting through stocks. Yeah. I mean, Democrats are doing it too. So corruption, just like evil, just like people wishing death upon others, is bubbling just beneath the surface, just like racism. I mean, there's a lot of people who will go out of their way to try and justify racism when really what it is that they are racist. Like, under the skin, they're racist. And they just feel like they don't have a safe space to say they're racist or expound racist beliefs. They won't find many people who agree with them, so they hide it, and they try to play nice with society. I don't know what you think about 9/11, but to me it's strange that it happened one day before. Let's just say that I think quite differently from many people. I mean, I don't think that there was any significance to the to the date itself, I think that it is like, I don't know, I think it's pretty it's kind of run of the mill. Tragedies tend to happen in clusters, and if you look at the timeline of tragedies throughout American history, they're all kind of like clumped together. You know, it's not just like one, it's not just like woo. I assume you are aware that throughout history there have been 2 American presidents who dared to speak out against the elite, and interestingly both were assassinated. You're talking about McKinley and Kennedy? Was McKinley assassinated? Kennedy was an elite. I mean, let's not sugarcoat that. He was one of the elite. I just think that he was willing to ruin it for the rest of them, and that reflected badly. But also, you also have to look at his lifestyle too. He was kind of like a playboy, and if you are like, if you're kind of like, so okay, God, this concept's going to be hard to explain. We live in a world that we built. We defined all the terms to all the words we use. We made the meaning to man, woman, child, the world. We named the earth. We made all those things. We defined what everything was. And it starts as a small idea, an inception, if you will. Spin the top. It starts as a small idea, and it grows into a civilization. We think, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't kill anymore? We then make a rule as society, or it just kind of is accepted that we don't kill anymore. We then say, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we had a few people that could tell us, you know, what the rest of us are trying to say, and so we form a government. That is under our rules that we thought of, we defined, we made it up. So when we have this society that is all just a series of words, which means it could collapse at any moment if someone decides to redefine one concept. We have this whole society that we've built on a series of words and concepts. And so in order for that to sustain itself, at least in the eyes of conservative people, not like on the political side, but conservative in general, like as a personality trait, the reason why it's so important for them to I guess, do assassinations or to fight against disruptions in the status quo is because all it's going to take for that entire society to fall is for an entire generation to understand that words now mean something different. I know that's a very complicated way of saying that time changes us and words are permeable, but it needed that context. The office of the president is seen as the one truly prestigious position within the government. It is the front-facing, it is the world-facing position. It's what everybody sees. And if you give one impression, and Trump ruined all this. He turned it all on its head right before COVID, which completely messed everything up. But before Trump came along, the office of the president was something that people held in really high regard and saw as something that you had to maintain in the shape that it was. You couldn't just do whatever you want and be president. That's why that's why everyone got so mad at Obama when he wore a tan suit, because every president before him was wearing blue suits with blue ties or whatever the hell. I don't know what their actual outfits were, but they all had a very specific dress code. They all acted a very specific way, and you can and cannot talk about very specific things. There was decorum. And as we saw after Reagan left office, that decorum started to erode little by little. And it was just as much the Democrats' fault as it was the Republicans' fault for doing so. Bill Clinton had a huge scandal in his office for cheating. Like, you keep that shit behind closed doors, good sir. I mean, in your Connecticut estate, not fucking in Washington, D.C. Every other senator meets up with their mistress at a goddamn hotel. You had to do it in the goddamn Oval Office? You sleazebag. But it's been just as much from both sides as it has anybody. And so in terms of JFK, we couldn't be seen during the Cold War era, or at least just in the aftermath. Was it just in the aftermath? I don't remember when he got assassinated. Anyway, the point is, 68? Anyway, point is, it was an answer to him trying to disrupt the status quo. It could have been anything. It could have been like, he goes up into the podium and rubs his face with chocolate sauce and says, I like rubbing chocolate sauce on my face. Or sorry, what was his accent? Shout out. No, not shout it. Say it, Frenchie. Be like, oh, I don't think I can do JFK. Oh my God, I'm blanking. Ask not, it's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It's a Connecticut. It's like one of those palatial Connecticut things. I don't think I can mimic it. I don't even remember where I was going with this. I got lost in the train of thought here. Oh my God, I ruined it. Because I couldn't imitate a guy's accent. Anyway, he was disrupting the status quo. And he was trying to push civil rights. He was trying to push, diplomacy. He was trying to push all these things that were against what his, his handlers wanted. And so he had to pay the price for it. He slept with Marilyn Monroe. How much higher profile can you get when you're married and you're leader of the country and your infidelity is like out there for everybody to see? It's bad. She went too far. She had to die too. Just left her in some bathtub to OD? Like, fuck, man. Woo! Okay, here's a fucking brain dead take. Solid fact. Charlie Kirk is a hero to the right. George Floyd is a hero to the left. That's right. That's why I'm right wing. Thanks for contributing, Jethro. Born stars got bars. Okay. My response to that is George Floyd is not a hero. George Floyd represents a moment in time. George Floyd represents a failing within our system, much like the killing of Charlie Kirk represents a failing in our system, representing a moment in time. Just saying. George Floyd is not a hero to the left. What George Floyd represents is a hero to the left. George Floyd represents a system in which we are allowed to openly be racist and commit violence against people we don't like the skin color of or don't like. Sounds really familiar, doesn't it? Give me one moment. What's a good slang I'm gonna crush this bowl. Does that make sense? Is that a good slang word to avoid toss violations? Who cares? All right, we are talking about Charlie Kirk today. Thank you if you're just joining. Thank you so much. Well, we had 7 viewers at one time, and now we have only 2 on YouTube. YouTube's such a weird animal, right? Very strange. 64 views total. Holy crap. Well, people are coming in, but they're only staying about 3 minutes. I guess maybe I'm not that entertaining. I'm not as entertaining as I thought I was. And yes, I know, Street, everyone knows what I'm doing when I say it. Crushing a bowl is pretty easy to interpret, I think. Oh, let's see. What? Okay, 2 brain dead takes here. So the thread, I think, was nobody trained goes after the neck, either they miss the head. I don't know. Let me see if I can find the parent of this. Real snipers shoot from cover, like a window through curtains to cover muzzle. For me, it's medicine, so if I was to stop, I would just be endlessly depressed and not be very happy. So, yeah. It actually, it works in really good tandem with my ADHD medication. A trained sniper would never shoot from a rooftop like this. That's day 1 tactics right there. Avoid skylining. The story is false. Real snipers shoot from cover like a window through curtains to cover muzzle flashes and obviously conceal their position. One shot, one kill move. Whoever they are, definitely prior military. What does that mean? If they said definitely prior military, why would they have spent this time concluding that they aren't prior military? Are they making a dig at the military? Someone help me interpret that. No, actually. Snipers are trained to get into a safe position where you can safely fire safely at a target safely. It's more so, I mean, yeah, you don't want a horizon, or sorry, you don't want a skyline, which is a video gaming term and not an actual term. I'm pretty sure skylining just means horizoning. Maybe that's a Navy term. Maybe horizoning is a Navy term specific to the Navy. I don't know. So, I mean, snipers are mostly, I think, are SEALs, right? Or Marines. I don't remember. So, I mean, snipers take whatever... Let's stop saying snipers. A trained shooter, 200 yards, that's not a sniper shot. A trained shooter is going to get into whatever position is most convenient for them to get into. That gives them the best view, the best line of sight, the best line of fire. If you're jumping off of a roof to escape something, then you're not really thinking about avenues of escape. You're just kind of thinking, like, how do I kill this guy? So I don't think that people analyzing this from a movie video game standpoint, like from cover like a window through curtains to cover muzzle flashes. If you're shooting from far enough away, nobody's going to see a muzzle flash. They're going to be dead before they even hear the report of the gun. That's not how movies work. In movies, you shoot the gun and then the camera follows the bullet through the guy's scope right into his brain. That's what a movie would do. And you would then be like Chris Kyle shooting like from through a little crack, you know, or like Vasily Zaitsev in Enemy at the Gates, where he's like waiting for the thunder crack. That actually was a thing. Not anymore though. Point being, you're shooting through like a little sliver of a wall and you're like, oh, you know, I can get this guy right in the head. That's not what sharpshooting is. I hate to say. So this may have changed since I was interested in joining the military, which is around 30 years ago. Okay, so chill on me if I get it wrong. But what you do when you do basic training is you get put into different categories depending on what your skills are, what your skill set is. Like, you don't go into. I mean, I guess you can go into the military saying like, oh, you know, I want to be a corps cook, or I want to be you know, an airman or something like that. Like you can, well, that would be the Air Force, but, or I want to be like a corps cook or like an instructor, like whatever. Point being that you kind of go in and you find where you fit, and you get placed into different categories based on how well you shoot. It is one of those sort of very few left true meritocracies in that little microcosm, where if you shoot 1,500 meters, you get the 1,500 meter certification, and you can then be a sharpshooter. That's like sort of where you fall into. You don't even get set up with a sniper rifle. That's not even like, you're not called a sniper. You don't get like a Barrett fucking 50 cal. You have to requisition those things based on whatever your assignment is. And if it's not something that you're like comfortable with, they're not going to give it to you. You don't just like pick a loadout. And you don't just like go like, oh, well, let's see, I had the 50 cal yesterday. I think I'm going to shoot the Remington today. How about that? No. Wonder what happens when I respawn. It's not like that. It's more dirty. It's more of you are either a really dedicated sniper with a spotter who's right there with you while you're laying in the undercut brush, and you're peeing like into you've dug a urine trench, and you've taken your both your speed and your sedatives. Like, there's that, and then you spend like 8 days in the mud just to kill one guy. There's that, And then there's like real sharpshooting, which is a lot different than being a sniper. Like snipers are there to go behind enemy lines and to kill, like, I don't know the name. I think it's simple human or truly human or human something. It just go to Amazon and type in like human mesh chair, or just type in mesh chair computer desk or something like that. It was around $200, I think. Well, people are saying that he was a marksman, but he, again, as I'm outlining right now, shooting from 200 yards away doesn't require a ton of skill. You have to be a confident shooter in the first place. Like, let's say you have all the basic shooting skills. Shooting from 200 yards is nothing. Not nothing. It's just not very difficult. You train your eyes, you train your weight, you train your focus, you train like all different kinds of yourself. You are a well-oiled machine, and you zero in and you're like really focused on the target. That's like that's kind of more how it is. It's not, hey, I'm just gonna shoot from a different distance today. It's like, well, I shoot at 1,500 meters. Like, okay, could you hit a guy at 50? I guess, yeah, I shoot up to 1,500 meters. Oh, if I was sighted correctly, it's one of those things where you can't just remove your sight from your gun like in the video games. And then this guy says the other brain dead thing, which is nobody trained goes for the neck either, they miss the head. Please tell me that none of you think that the military trains for headshots. Please tell me that there's not one among you. I would probably ban you. I would at least give you a timeout. Please tell me that none of you believe that the military trains you to shoot for the head. I'm not gonna just take one guy's opinion about the best place to aim, and I just hope that it's not endemic. So so if you heard that and you think that's crazy, then you're welcome within this community. All right, so that was the follow, or the comment that this now has followed. So this one is precisely, no trained shooter is taught a neck shoot. All these posts about a highly accurate shot are crap. Center body mass or head are the places taught. A trained sniper would consider a head shoot from 200 yards, and if using the correct equipment, could easily achieve. I suspect a headshot was intended but missed, which tells me they either had a bad trigger snatch. Oh, the take up. Why don't people use terms I remember? It's the thing that the trigger does after you release it, which can like cause the gun to actually move, and you would then be losing a little bit of accuracy. That's so stupid. That's like video game logic again. Or did not take into account the range correctly, or were ignorant of the ballistics properties of their rounds. Are we really giving it that much thought if we're an assassin? I don't think so. I think that people want this to be a planned, well-coordinated attack. I think that's what they want. Either because they want revolution, or because they want some kind of an excuse to go off about something they're uncomfortable about. Yeah. If you're just joining, we're talking about Charlie Kirk. It is, oh my god, I feel like it has been 5 hours, but it's been 2 hours. And I have a feeling that my Steam isn't gonna run out anytime soon. So we're probably gonna go for another hour and a half after this. To about 2:30 p.m. So if you like what you're hearing, please like and subscribe, please. It really, honestly, like that's the one hurdle that I have left to actually making this a thing. And if I was to suddenly be able to go viral, I would stream full time. Like that would be the only thing that I am, that I need to overcome in order to stream full fucking time. That means like 8 hours a day, which I would be happy to do, is getting the engagement. So I recently got affiliate, so I'm at least getting a little trickle of money from the ads on the Twitch channel. But I really would love to do this like full time. I've tried several times in the past, and real life has always taken precedent, which I understand. I don't ask for any sympathy for having to have a job just like other people do. But I think that where my strength is, career-wise, if I may self-assess for a moment, is in trying to help people make sense of things. And that comes in the form oftentimes in my gig work as a consultant and as a catering chef. But it also comes about in ways like this, where I try to provide a little bit of entertainment to people, and I try to interpret things that are going on in this world that some of us may not have the prescience or the insight to, or the perspective to understand or explain. And I try to give a little bit of that information to people. And so if I help even one person during my day here, then that's a victory for me. And so if I'm able to do this in a way that I can sustain myself, which means I just need engagement from you, the watchers, then I will be able to help more people. And damn it, that's like, that would give me the warm fuzzies, you know? And everyone wants to feel the warm fuzzies. Gosh darn it. So yeah, if you like any of the stuff that you've been hearing today, please do the like and subscribe thing. It is it's an easy thing to forget, is so important. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for hanging out, for listening to all of this, just stream of consciousness. I haven't heard that, but I would think that they teach them to shoot perfectly so that the bullet goes wherever they want it to go. True. But also you have to consider everything else in this equation. This person may not have had any prior military experience. They may just be a skilled shooter. Skilled shooting alone does not prepare you for the psychological and emotional toll that being in an environment where you're about to kill somebody will put you in. That amount of stress requires hard conditioning. It requires repetition. It requires that you have to train hour after hour after hour, and I don't see that in a successful assassination attempt. Lee Harvey Oswald was disturbed. The guy that killed that bouncer was disturbed. The school shooters, mental illness, like there's very few people who choose to go and do an assassination because they're mentally well. Very few people. And so you have to consider all of the different factors that come into play when you're doing that kind of shooting. And it would be hard for, I think, even one of the most well-adjusted shooters to cope with the fact that they're about to kill somebody on domestic soil. Especially with how, like, beat into your head patriotism is when you're in basic training. Like, you know, like, oh, thanks, Street Trip, no problem. See you when you come back. Yeah, it's... So yeah, trained shooters are typically taught to shoot for center mass. It is not, my guess is that the shot actually went a little high. But regardless, we have to stop with the speculation that it was some like special ops trained sniper. You wouldn't leave your weapon behind if you were. You certainly would not leave your gun behind. You can't just wipe it down for prints. That's not how that works. Like, everybody who says this shit is talking about like movie logic, and it's freaking crazy. Carrie 0070, I got a feeling this is a lie. None of my liberal quote-unquote friends had the decency to denounce the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Not one. Silence isn't neutrality, it's complicity. I mean, there are now rapid developments in the case. What does that mean? You have a link or something? As far as I've seen, all the Democratic talking heads have said something to the effect of political violence is never justified. So have all the talking heads that I've seen on the right. So it's not like we're not unified in this one precept. It's just that there are people who really just want it to be the other way. This guy probably wants people to not denounce the shooting of Charlie Kirk so that he can be mad at them. See what I mean? Like, two groups of people with the willingness to kill. One is people who truly believe that it is a good thing to do, and two is the people who just want to benefit from that. This is number two. Not one of my liberal friends had the decency to denounce the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Not one. Well, I didn't. Not one, all caps. Silence isn't neutrality, it's complicity. I mean, where are you getting that? What? Silence is violence? Didn't we say that? All right, well, let's see if it's a thing that I can view. got 2 viewers. Look at that. Hell yeah. What would be a good place to find the like the breaking news, you know, like the, where do you suppose that would be? Because they said it was gonna be, there's like or there's always like a news section, but I don't really. If anyone has a link, I would love to see it, because we're talking about stuff that's happening live in regards. I need to just find one that's like a regular news channel, right? I don't know who KSL or WFLA is.
One person pulled the trigger of that firearm.
So, I mean, they're showing photos? Was there something else?
One person pulled that trigger, fired that shot, struck Charlie Kirk in the neck, and that person is responsible for...
This is that guy that I fucking hate,
action.
I think.
But whether or not there's any
Joe something.
Hated that person, that's of course a focal point.
Oh no, he's actually from the news.
That the top priority for the FBI would be to find the person responsible for pulling the trigger. But then it's, how is this person able to acquire the firearm? How is this person able to get to the rooftop? How is this person, you know, able to orchestrate this? There's good.
Try to hit live on here and see maybe. Agenda free TV. I don't know if I agree with that. Oh, here we go. Live now from Fox. You know they're gonna try to give updates, right? I guess. CNBC maybe? Oh, is this it, do you think?
Talk to us about their movements. Do you think it's mad? And also, can I ask, what were the security arrangements?
I think this might be
Was that roof
a replay of something from earlier.
Absolutely. So what I'll release about the suspect is suspect blended in well with a college institution. We're not releasing many
Someone tell me if this is old news already.
But right now we're not. But that
as far as I know, this is current.
Appears to be of college age. We are confident in our abilities to track that individual. If we're unsuccessful in identifying,
let me know if you can't hear it.
We will reach out to the public's help and the media's help in pushing those photos. That was a new development overnight, working through the night, studying those cameras. So that's something that's new and that we're working through right now.
Yeah, I think I heard
as far
this
as
earlier.
security, I cannot speak to that. Neither the Department of Public Safety nor the Federal Bureau of Investigation was involved in the planning or security of this event.
I'm gonna look at another
and
one
that'll
real
have to
quick,
be
see
a
if I can
question
find
later
something.
for other agencies.
Mr. Sorry, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you found the gun in a wooded area. Do you believe that the suspect could be hiding in the woods? And is that suspect possibly still in this area?
So that's a good question.
Oh, I got so
It's a question that
disappointed.
goes
This
to
guy. I'm so sorry for pausing it.
safety of the community.
So this isn't live. I don't know why they're saying it is. This is from earlier today. This guy is so short.
We don't believe
Oh, I feel so bad. He's so short, and
exhausting every resource to find him.
the camera had to move down when they when he came on the screen, and then it moved back up when he left the screen. It's so sad.
This university, and how far do you think he may have gone in his mindset?
So I can't comment specifically on his face or any details such as that, as it's continuing to be in front of
Yeah, it seems like everybody's streaming, but it's I'm not seeing a lot of
We're doing everything we can to find him. And
press conference details.
we're not sure how far he has gone yet.
What's actually a good news source? Popular? You count? Rating? You count? Maybe? What said they held one? Yeah, I don't think either they're saying the same thing that they were saying before this morning, or it's just a re-showing of the new segments that I'd already seen. Whether you agree or not with Charlie Kirk's positions, the man did not deserve to die. If you disagree, I would be happy to have you call in. And I just want to understand why. I'm not like trying to debate about it. Like I want to understand where you'd be coming from. I want to know how you justify something like this happening. So feel free to call in, use any of the links in the chat or the description. And stick around, we're still covering Charlie Kirk. We're going to be covering Charlie Kirk for still the next hour and a half. Sorry, my phone went to sleep again. I'm currently using it as one of my chat windows. Oh, okay, so they're waiting on the new info. So we'll have to stay tuned. KGW at noon. So I live in the Portland area, and KGW is my local news station, which I think is very fun. I think it's cool that it's on there. Let's see if I'll put one of the things on so that we can see it when some stuff comes up. But I don't know which one. Oh. Officials to hold briefing on fatal shooting. Do you think that's... Okay. So this is probably why they've delayed it then. Because they're still like investigating or something? I don't know. I won't speculate. I'll just assume that this is what we're seeing. And this is why we're supposed to be seeing it. I will turn the sound down again for now, just to put us back in line with where we were before. But if you, again, if you'd like to call in and you'd like to give me your opinion on why you think it's justified that this happened, then I'm happy to hear it. Like I said, I just want to get my head into your brain. Weird. And try to understand where you're coming from, because I'm trying to wrap my head around why the shooter was thinking the things that he was thinking at the time. So it's really more an effort for me to understand. But yeah, feel free to call in using the links anywhere. Please like and subscribe, all that stuff. I know that I harp on it, but it's important. All right. So I'll put this in the corner here. And I will keep my eye on the waiting room. So feel free to join, call in anytime. I guess also Twitch has a call-in feature, which I did not know that it has. So feel free to use that too. I guess it's like there's a button you can click, and it like gives you like a phone, like you get to have like a phone chat thing. I don't know. Pretty cool. What happened to the footage? Okay, MSNBC is the biggest fake news. They have already got people speaking on how it was Charlie Kirk's fault he got shot in the neck. This is why we don't listen to legacy media anymore. Democrats, party of hate. I mean, like, the idea of stochastic terrorism is a pervasive one that is kind of growing as time goes on. Because of the freedom of free speech, people took it upon themselves to espouse hateful ideas that marginalize groups that, you know, don't really deserve to be marginalized. In that time, you know, through either lack of civil rights protections or whatever, gay people were beaten, stoned, and hanged, and trans people weren't allowed to exist, all that kind of stuff. So what we did was we put limitations on speech. And I mean, for the most part, it went over not super well. So we have anti-hate speech laws that are meant to, you know, give inclusion and equity to people. And it also allows people to espouse hateful ideas. But hate speech, when you say that someone should die, you advocate for death of a specific group, when it's discriminatory, then that's a bad thing. And Charlie Kirk never really crossed into that territory. So I wouldn't say that it's necessarily his fault. I would say that he created the environment in which he lived, and if that was a contributor to his death, then so be it. But he still didn't deserve to die. And it wasn't his fault that he died. Mr. Magoo didn't die, and he tripped down a whole bunch of steps. Yeah. I don't know what point I was making there, but I made it. The person who... Oh my god. Why are you using this as a platform? The person who killed Charlie Kirk is white. Why are black people being threatened? Oh, I know. I mean, yeah, dude, we know racism exists. Damn, like... I get it. I understand that you're disgusted and hate being hated and all that kind of stuff. I get it. I'm disgusted by the video I just saw of the left freaking out and refusing a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. The same people that erected monuments for George Floyd refuse a moment of silence for a 31-year-old white Christian father of two that loved to spread the word of God. The weirdness is where they have to say white. Why does it make any sense to point out the race? Because it just gives away the fact that you're being racist when you're saying this. You're saying that I'm disgusted by the video I just saw of black people freaking out and refusing a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. The same black people that erected monuments for black George Floyd refused a moment of silence for 31-year-old white Christian father of two who loved to spread the word of God. Yep. George Floyd had kids. Just saying. Nobody deserves to die. If you can give me a justification for somebody that deserves to die, for a kind of person, a type of person, unless they are coming at you with a knife, who deserves to die? Even if they're coming at you with a knife, you still have every obligation and opportunity to not kill them. Even if your death is imminent, even if they have a knife in your gut and they're about to rip you stem to stern, you can still kick and punch and flail and move your limbs and like twist and get out of there. Even if shock sets in, the societal or the survival imperative is still there. If you freeze, you might die. And that's a thing that you will have to accept, but at least you wouldn't have killed somebody. I don't know. I think maybe that's a little bit of a defeatist point of view when saying exactly that, but within the context, it fucking fits. To the people who have been calling Republicans and Charlie Kirk fascists, assassinating someone you don't agree with is actual fascism. Well, only if it's by an oppressive government. Is the left an oppressive government? That's just a brain dead take. That's just a take that says you don't know anything about the world. Probably, I'm guessing, a musician or an artist from the, you know, if you have a tattoo, it's usually supposed to be meaningful. And if you have a tattoo of song notes, then I imagine that you are either a singer or a musician of some sort. And so if you've had the opportunity to pursue those things while leading a normal life, then you're pretty privileged. And perhaps you should stay in your fucking lane. Oh, whoops. I didn't mean to navigate away entirely. So Helmet, if you find any like actual like news stories that have the developing story or the actual thing, then I will I'll click over to it. But for right now, I'm just gonna leave up the live outside Utah Valley University that stream. Goddamn. Got that phlegm again. When George Floyd died, they burned cities. No, we didn't. When Charlie Kirk died, we hold vigils. We held vigils for Floyd. And what? I mean, Jan 6 was a thing. So are they saying that they didn't do that either? And that was over something they just disagreed with. They wanted to kill Gretchen Whitmer, who agrees with them on most things. A senator was killed. Their wife or their husband was injured, and like, come on. Let's not what about anymore, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to make. Damn it. All right, so this person made several points, I guess. Number one, the person who took a shot at Charlie Kirk and ended his life is a coward. Number two, you didn't end anything. All you did was create 100,000 more Charlie Kirks. God fucking forbid. Number three, this could actually mean civil war. That's one of my fucking fears. One of my immediate fears. Number four, whether you agreed with him or not, you should not be celebrating his death. We agree on that. That's about as low as you can go as a human being. We agree on that. I pray all school shootings everywhere stop. Leave the kids alone. They don't deserve that. I agree with that. MAGA. I get it. It's his people that are saying the things, but you got to put a tagline in there. Do ya? Feels a little morbid. Feels a little ghoulish. If you're celebrating Charlie Kirk's coward assassination, please do me a favor and remove me from your friends list. We can have different opinions and beliefs and still be friends, but that crosses the line. True. I have black people calling me outside my name because I support Charlie Kirk. I just want it to be known that I agree with 99% of what he says proudly. What? Calling me outside my name? Is that I think that's a term I'm unfamiliar with. Is it saying that you're not like a good person if you say that, or I don't get it. Explain it to me like I'm 5. I'm generally confused. As someone who doesn't swing abruptly to the left or right, and someone who feels called, Jesus fucking Christ, you swing to the right. To show people compassion and love, for those who keep screaming that Charlie Kirk was spewing hate, you are saying that it's a-okay to commit an act of hate with more hate, so then we keep going round and round with hate, and that is okay with you. Signed, Sad and Heavy in Missouri Today. If you're saying that you're called to do something, you're Christian, and you're definitely not unbiased. If you actively advocate against the rights of trans people, you probably lean to one side. And I'm not saying that this person does, but they probably do. If you're Christian, typically you don't like trans people. Charlie Kirk's message was simple. I always want to bring people together and allow people to talk, because when people stop talking, violence starts. He lived that. He let anyone step up to the mic. He listened. He debated. Meanwhile, the left screams Nazi at anyone they disagree with, dehumanizing people until violence feels justified. No, again, untrue. The left are the people who reason and use debate in order to try and sway people to their side. That's why they're so feckless and ballless. They would never take political action against someone in a criminal way, like in a murdering you kind of way. Yeah, that's just weird to say. We don't just call people Nazis on the left. If you're doing Nazi shit, you're going to get called a Nazi. If you're advocating for all of Palestine to die, if you're advocating for the death penalty, if you're advocating for people who want to turn the country into a corporate hellscape, then you're acting like a Nazi. That's what they did. They are fascists. They wanted to bring the government in to control everything. That's fascism. You want Big Daddy Trump to come home and take off his belt, I guess. Which is a real strangely homophobic for how much you guys hate the gays. Just gonna say. My brother said it best. Hundreds of thousands of people will Google Charlie Kirk over the next 48 hours. Their search algorithms will be adjusted for weeks. They will be exposed to his messages over and over and over again. Minds will be changed forever, and souls may even be saved. You cannot kill the truth. Unfortunately, they're fucking right. And I don't think that this person really even considered the ramifications of such an action. I think that they were behaving passionately. Crime of passion. According to every lefty on the internet, we can't care about Charlie Kirk's death. Nobody said that. And if they did, they're wrong. Unless we care about every single other death that's happened because of the same severity. It's not the same thing, and no, I don't have to. You know why? Because the time of listening and agreeing and finding common ground is over. You guys are the ones that did this! You advocated for violence! What? The last stance that I heard from the extreme left that was anything remotely extreme was kill your neighborhood pedophile. Do you not agree with that? I would think the people who advocate for death would be super on board. I'm not necessarily of that mind, but there are plenty of leftists who are. The next best thing I've ever heard from leftists was punch a Nazi. If you're concerned over who's being called a Nazi, you might be a fucking Nazi. Anyone notice how the right didn't riot, burn businesses, smash windows, overturn cop cars, and attack their neighbors after the assassination of our own Charlie Kirk? To those cheering this and calling for violent action against us, we are not the same. You should take comfort in that fact. Be careful in asking for a conflict. You will not win. Guys, oh my fucking god. If you lean to the right side of the aisle, I cannot imagine how fucking stupid it is for you to imagine that you guys have more guns. Or that you guys have better guns or better technology. Like, wow. Like, fucking wow. I think that the people who use the most welfare, the people who are in the lowest poverty brackets, the largest percentage of people who are homeless, the largest percentage of people who are addicted to drugs and alcohol, probably can't afford all the best weapons and technology to fight this supposed civil war you guys seem to be so fucking hungry for, nor are you physically fit or mentally fit enough to do so. It's the people who are doing a good job, who are technically and physically, behaviorally, mentally more fit, who don't have to go around saying how fucking cool they are and how many guns they have. Like, wow. Which side, look at a political compass, or look at a political spectrum. Which side has revolutionaries on it? Over the course of history, which side on the political aisle has been known to overthrow corrupt dictatorships? It's certainly not the conservatives. I'm just going to put that out there. So, if we did, we would, and I won't go further than that. They opposed Charlie Kirk because I'm sorry. I really hope that this is just a continuation of this the previous person's thing, because I hope someone didn't just sit there writing 25 fucking edicts for why people oppose Charlie Kirk. Because they, 21, believe love means accepting sin. What? Already wrong. He says love saves from sin. Again wrong. People don't get to choose who they are. People just have to be who they are. And if you're forced to be someone that you're not, you're going to have a lot of shit wrong with you later on in life. Love means accepting sin. You have to assume there's a sin to be accepted if you think this. Which is, again, antithetical to fucking society. We got together to be a group of people, not to be your specific group of people. Ay, ay, ay. 22, they think freedom means doing what they want. It does. He says freedom is in God. That's not freedom. If you're being controlled by someone, that's not freedom. So you can't have God and have freedom. Free will with a gun to your head is not free will. 23 are mad at God. If you don't believe in God, you can't be mad at God. I'm so tired of people saying that. He reminds them of God. For real? I mean, I guess if you take God at face value with all the murdering and rape and child murder and child rape and ethnic murder and ethnic cleansing and ethnic rape and slavery and killing the world twice and, allowing Satan to do all the evil he does, allowing natural disasters to happen. I guess if you really do take God at face value, Charlie Kirk really, he could have idolized the figure, the deity. So good Christian. That doesn't mean what you think it means. That's not as good as you think it is. And 25, or 24, we want Christianity watered down. He teaches strong faith. No, he has strong faith. That doesn't mean he teaches strong faith. He says through God. That doesn't mean anything if you're spewing anti-trans, 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 anti-gay, anti-black, anti-trans, anti-gay, anti-black for the rest of the time. You don't just make it up by saying, we all got to go to God. That's while you're preaching tolerance and while you're preaching love, accepting sins, I guess. For the longest time, I haven't been centered. And I bet you think that was a design choice. It wasn't. I just don't have glasses on and can't see shit. This thing sucks. Yep. Getting nothing. Nothing. If you're just joining, we are covering the assassination of Republican pundit Charlie Kirk. If you're wondering just randomly what my stance is, I'll leave it here. I'm going to go ahead and crush this bowl. If you disagree with this stance and you feel like it was necessary to justify what Charlie Kirk or what happened to Charlie Kirk, then I would love to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to call in using either the links in the chat or the link in the description. I really want to understand. I want to understand why you think that it would be a good thing for this to happen. So, I'm willing to hear it. Pee-pee cuisine. Oh, pee-pee. Wait, I meant to say cuisine. When was Charlie Kirk anti-trans, gay / black? He doesn't believe it himself, but never, he doesn't believe in it himself, but never discriminated anyone. True. And while I would never say that someone deserves to be guilty by association, he was definitely a cog in a lot of the inner workings of the Prager, Trump circles of corporate instruction and how they structured instruction and how they reformatted the idea of what education should be, both erasing history, which would be anti-black, and advocating for trans people to not have firearms. And with the gay thing, it's mostly just about living in sin. I'm just extrapolating those things. As I said, many times in this stream, I think that he truly believed what he did, but, and none of that means that he deserves to die. Ultimately, if we're in agreement on that, then there you go. But yeah, I think this sums it up pretty well. And I think that it's important to also understand that while this may not be the one, the understanding of the effects of what people label as stochastic terrorism is going to change in the next couple of weeks, and it's going to get hairy. And I really hope that if we can continue having these discussions about it, that we can maybe kind of try to find some way to help people understand that it's a confrontation of something that you're dealing with. It's not a confrontation. It's not about trying to find a good reason to kill somebody. It's about trying to understand what within yourself drives you to that conclusion. What within yourself makes you think that, man, like, and I don't think that I'm having trouble necessarily wrapping my head around it. I think what I'm having trouble with is that there are so many other options, that there are so many other ways that you can deal with someone, or that you can try to help someone, or that you can offer perspective to someone. Like, let's say that I was omnipotent and I had carte blanche to do whatever I wanted to the people that I disagree with. One of the first things that I would do is I would put them in a room with all the quote unquote victims of the things that they've said and espoused, and the views that they've espoused, and the values that they've pushed. That would be what I would want to do. I'd want to expose them to the damage that they've done. And none of that is killing people. just so that we're established, none of it was killing people. The man, and as I said, I've consumed hours of that dude's content in order to try to debunk a lot of the things that he was saying. Hours upon hours. Fucking marathons. And he never said anything about committing violence against people. In fact, he advocated against violence pretty constantly, pretty consistently. And I don't know whether the man was an avid churchgoer, but he talked about it a lot. He talked a lot about going to church. He talked a lot about being at church. And I find it hard to believe, unless you grew up in the church, that you weren't personally experiencing the things that he was when he's talking about how his relationship with the church. So, yeah. I hope that addresses what you said, PP. Sorry, when I saw your username, I started thinking about food. And then I went, PP. And it kind of threw me off. Because maybe there was some Freudian slip happening there. Pee-pee. So we are waiting on, I guess they delayed a press conference because there was some details that were coming out. But I'm not seeing that really anywhere. So we're just gonna, I guess, leave it on the view from outside the Utah Valley University for now. And if you're just joining, I wanted to just, let's, at the top of this half hour, I want to just sum it all up by saying that killing is wrong. If you have a way that you justify the needless killing of people, then, well, not needless. I mean, there's probably all kinds of ways that you might have to say why a killing might be needed. So I won't say needless. I don't want to try and put words in anybody's mouth. I don't want to try and like alter anybody's idea about it, but I want to understand why you would justify it. Like what is the factor that just clicks in your head that says, like, you know what, this person deserves to die. So far, the justifications that we've found on stream just now for murder has been when someone is actively about to end your life. I still don't necessarily agree with that, because even if someone's trying to stab you, I believe that there are probably ways that you can try to defend yourself without ending their life. And I guess if I were trapped, I can only imagine what I would do in that situation. But if I were in that situation where I'm trapped underneath somebody, like they're trying to stab me and they're like they're getting me and like they're actually making me weak, I'm losing blood. If I had a way to kill them, then that might be the instinct that I draw upon. I don't know that I would have the intention of doing that. It would just be, I need this guy off of me. But it may very well result in that. And I would probably be fighting with that for the rest of my life, with how to make that right within my own brain. Like, I can't. Like I said, yeah, please call in. If you're justifying this, if you're one of those people that we saw in threads talking about like how, you know, although this is mostly people decrying all of that. But yeah, if you can find a way to justify it, happy to have you call in. I really, maybe I just want to hear your 2 cents, you know? Maybe I just want to understand. Because again, I'm trying to put myself into the mind space of the guy himself and see if I can understand why. It's really just an exercise in empiricism. I'm just trying to understand a different perspective than my own. This isn't like a study. I'm not doing anything scholastically inclined, or I'm not trying to teach anyone anything. I just want to understand. So yeah, feel free. And we'll move on. I don't think Democrats understand how much Charlie Kirk's assassination radicalized common sense and moderate folks. There's no coming back from this. See, another scary take. Like, we don't know what's going to happen within the next few weeks. I think that things become a little bit more predictable as you gain experiences through over time. But when Trump first became president, he kind of bucked a lot of that stuff. Like, he kind of like took the idea of what it means to be president and kind of made it a celebrity position in the most terrible ways. But it was his belief, at least through whatever metrics he was using, that engagement is engagement regardless of if it's negative or positive. And he made a very concerted effort to use all of his failings in the social world, or in the civilized world, as tools to boost his own popularity among people who themselves feel ostracized. So all the groundwork was laid here, and I don't think that don't think this is a fresh take necessarily, because that's crazy. This has been a thing for a long time. I think that everyone, I think that a lot of people understood, anyone with like political knowledge of what the current landscape is probably understood that violence is bubbling just underneath the surface. It can be at any time. And we see that manifest throughout history in many different ways. Sometimes it's a school shooting, sometimes it's a manifesto and a bombing, sometimes it's a person who was radicalized by a foreign power. There are all kinds of like political violence adjacent things that they're pure political violence that happen throughout history, and people get radicalized under a bunch of different conditions, and typically it's under traumatic conditions. And I don't think that the people on Capitol Hill aren't necessarily gathering their weapons and saying, now it's time for a civil war. I think more so what's happening is that people are going to try and use this as an excuse to do whatever, whether that's commit their own violence or justify their own horrible thoughts about people, or to galvanize one side or the other against or for a certain value. I mean, it's clear people are opportunistic, and people will take a lot of opportunity, they'll accept a lot of risk in order to achieve whatever the goal is that they feel passionate about. And some people just need an excuse. For Ashley Babbitt, it was Trump, inciting the riot that led to January 6th. And for, Kyle Rittenhouse, it was the march in Kenosha that, drove him to whatever he had to do, felt he had to do. And the people that are predisposed, and let's not say that it's complete nature versus nurture here. The people that are more inclined to violence operate within society in a different mental state. If you are a hammer, everything around you is going to look like a nail, right? And that's the argument that a lot of people use when they advocate against gun ownership, where it's, if someone gives you a weapon, you're going to be tempted to use it. Which is what happened in Portland here, I think 2 years ago, where a rideshare driver shot a passenger on the street. Not a passenger, he shot some guy on the street just out of road rage. The guy was like, you did a illegal U-turn, I just want to let you know. It's all on video. And the guy, he got scared, like he goes and like reaches over, grabs his gun and shoots the guy like 4 times. Guy dies. And then there's a guy on the corner who's like recording the incident, and he shoots the guy in the leg. If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And obviously one incident, an isolated incident, is not enough to paint an entire group of people a certain way. I will not be a hypocrite. So radicalization is kind of there. The people that are inclined towards violence are just waiting for the word go. That's all they're waiting for. They're just waiting for the opportunity or the permission. And the people that are not inclined towards violence are going to try everything they can to avoid it. It's like, what happened to how badass karate used to be, like when we're all like little kids and we're watching the Three Ninjas and we're like, yo, that karate is so awesome. They're doing karate. It's karate, even though most of it was Kempo, a lot of it was judo. But you think to yourself, that stuff's cool. And it wasn't cool for the fighting, right? Remember that someone confirmed for me that you remember why karate was so cool. It wasn't because of the fighting. The fighting was cool. But what happened to every single hero in one of those films? What happened to every single one of those heroes in every single one of those films? They were pushed to the fucking brink. They were pushed until they couldn't be pushed no more. And so after their family's been murdered, after their whole town's been burnt down, after their whole life has been dismantled, now this guy is coming for them. He's about to use a drunken fist to punch a hole through their chest. Well, then they start doing the fancy flip spin kicks or whatever that people karate men do. Point is, you do everything you can to avoid the fight, and that's what makes it so cool and badass. It's being above the fight. It's being the tiny guy in the corner. If everyone's fighting in like a fight scene or whatever, and everyone like they're all fighting, it's all like action stuff, and like like chandeliers are falling from the roof, and like, you know, tables are flying across the room and stuff like that. And there's this one guy who's just standing in the corner. Maybe he's got a cane and he's got like those round like black glasses, the sunglasses, and he's just standing there and he's like silent, and he's just like, and they're like, oh man, you know that guy's gonna do he's gonna do something so fucking cool. He's gonna like go crazy. But that's what he's doing. He's above the fight. He's so badass and he's so fucking cool that he will not be engaged. Not until it's time. And then he'll take out the bad guy. But I don't know like what moves he uses. At some point he'll do some really cool epic shit. So that's the point. The whole point of it is that you're supposed to avoid the fight. You're supposed to avoid killing the person, you know? Crazy, right? Is the music not playing? It's playing on my screen, but I don't see it on my sound thing monitor. I'm so bad at thinking of terms like on the spot. I promise I'll try to get better. I won't try to get better. I'll say that I'll try to get better. Damn it, PP, now I'm hungry. Not for PP. Although maybe. Maybe that's what I've been craving. My God. This whole time. Say her name, Melissa Hortman. Her matter murders too. It's in the topic of Melissa Hortman. I get it. So I don't see that as too like ghoulish, unless they were to like specify that, you know, oh, like don't care about Kirk's death, care about Hortman's death. That would be pretty ghoulish and monstrous, but it's within the context, so I won't assume that it's related. This one, however, the Robinator. Anyone celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk needs to get a grip on reality. He was a fascist, and he wasn't, quote, he was a fascist, end quote. He wasn't, and even if he was, you're celebrating his death and someone killing him because of his free speech. If you celebrate his death, you are also a fascist. Get a grip. Well, first of all, assassins are not an oppressive government, so I don't just throw around the word fascist like it means nothing, because that just shows how much you actually care about the term. If you're a true patriot, you don't want fascism, so you should advocate against it, and you should learn what it is before you start advocating against it. Again, you know, I think that there's it's a surprisingly large part of at least the communities that I'm engaged with that are celebrating it, and I won't call anyone fascists because of it, but I would say that it's I wouldn't agree with that it is the right way to go. Again, if you're just joining and you want to know my take on it, the only reason I keep harping on this is because this is the record of not only active viewers, but also average watch duration is 420. Just so you know, I'm not a weed head. I mean, I smoke it, but I'm not like, hey, 420, but I just thought it was pretty cool. Just wanted to mention it before it went away. It is now gone. But we got 100 views on a live stream, which is, for YouTube, that's like, you know, usually doesn't happen. Usually people, like, they watch the VOD or they watch the long form videos. It's, you know, unless you're already like really established, then you usually don't get 100 views, which is cool. Thank you guys for I appreciate it. Even if you disagreed with me, I do appreciate the engagement. I encourage it. And if you guys want to have open discussion, call in. I'm happy to hear it. That's my stance. I'm not gonna, I guess I'll read it one last time, but I would like to just keep getting to threads and stuff. I want to hear this update. If anyone hears of the update and before I do, then please feel free to share the link. I don't think I've banned links anywhere, so feel free to share it anywhere. I'll read it one last time, but then I'm going to put it away. My stance here is that killing is wrong. That's just my first and only premise. My reasoning is, why is killing wrong? If you remove someone from society, I think the music's now loud. Yeah, it grew in volume for some reason. If you remove someone from society, no matter the wrong they've done, we ultimately fail. We fail in the opportunity they might have had to grow, change, and learn, and we fail as a society as a whole by violating the most important societal imperative. And you can consider that thou shalt not kill. It's not cool to kill. Killing is wrong. However you want to put it. It's all the same thing. So if you disagree with that, I encourage you to call in or tune in to Talk Tuesday when we talk about more broad topics. And answer this question for me. When is it okay to kill? And I'm flexible on that. Like, I'm willing to have the discussion. I'm not like trying to gotcha anyone. But I want to understand. I do. I want to understand what the justification would be. All right. So we're going to put that away for the rest of the stream. We're going to go back to threads. Sorry, I gotta hydrate my palate. My palate is dry and it needs moisture. Thanks once again, guys, for joining. If you like everything that you're seeing and hearing and you want to see more, ideally, of my body, but also, if you like gaming content, you like TTRPGs, and you like people talking about comics and bullshit and movies and whatnot, please feel free to like and subscribe. Stick around. We're fucking doing it. Not doing it. Not like that. Differently. Smoothly. And with fun. Hope. But anywho. Ask yourself, why is exposing the flaws of Charlie Kirk's life and character, something he said he would judge others by, so controversial? ... And if reading that made you upset, I think it's important you know that it's an exact quote from Charlie Kirk, except he was talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What? 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 What is that supposed to mean? Ask yourself, why is opposing the flaws? He's saying this, well, he's revealing this as a MLK quote. Ask yourself, why is exposing the flaws of MLK's life and character something we should judge others by? He said we should judge others by, so controversial. I mean, it's not. You can advocate for what you believe in. You can be a good person and do that, and you can be a bad person and do that. Again, there's 4 groups of people, 2 and 2. The first group of 2 believes that it's okay to kill people. The second group doesn't. That's it. Very simple. I don't know why I said that like Kent Hovind. Maybe I've been watching too much Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind. Is it Hovind or Hovind? My elocution is failing me. Y'all just woke up to the millions of lukewarm Christians. A change is coming. Every Christian I know feels it. This is a powerful shift. That's what I'm afraid of. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, my Lord. I actually did the thing. I did the Picard thing. I went like, oh. Is that Picard? I think that's Picard. Oh, no. I mean, I don't know if I would put all these guys together. Like, was there a spot in there for Gandhi or Mother Teresa, or right next to Jesus? Right next to Jesus. And of course, going to schools and being like, you know, talking about gun rights and shit, isn't solving slavery or encouraging civil rights on all of these counts. Hey. That's... I think that wins the internet for the day. I'm fully thrown. I'm fully thrown by that. Throughout history, the caption is no better. Throughout history, voices of truth and courage have been silenced. Lincoln, JFK, MLK, Jesus, and now Charlie Kirk. Not because of power, but because of words. This isn't about left or right. It's about good versus evil. May their legacy remind us to stand for their truth, unity, and faith, no matter the cost. Oh boy. And, you know, I think that if anything, the worst outcome of this is that it does galvanize the right, and that it does, you know, lend credibility to the whole, you know, the left is doing political violence thing, which no reasonable person would agree with. when the left does it, you'll know. You'll probably know. Parliament will be on fire. As will most of the sky. Hang on a sec, I'm gonna crush this bowl. Give me a second. I think what's happening is that I'm not getting like a draw out of this. It's a weird, so I'm using a vape box mod for a cartridge that I will not say what is inside of it. It is legal here, but it is still against the TOS. Probably even for me to show it. So I don't know why I did that. I'm not monetized, so there we go. But yeah, it gives it gives way too much power. I use variable power, but it like nearly burns out the carts when I'm trying to use them. So I have to like pulse, 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 and then I don't even get like a dab's worth. I'm trying to get through. So there was one point where I first started at the cannabis shop that I worked at, where they were clearing out all of their sample stock, which is just all of the samples that cannabis companies give them. And I just happened to be the one on staff, and I ended up getting like $2,000 worth of free stuff, which included flour, dabs, all that kind of stuff. I'm working through it all. When George Floyd died, they burned down cities. No, they didn't. When Charlie Kirk died, we host vigils. We are not the same. Why are people posting the same shit? Are these just bots? It's the anger monkeys. ABW 8403. I'm a conservative male. I don't care if your sexuality is different than mine. I don't care if your religious beliefs are different than mine. I don't care if your political views are different than mine. I have all three of these descriptions as friends. If you condone the senseless act of violence, I do care. Please unfollow me. We're not meant to be connected on social media or in life. I mean, is it kind of bullshit, I guess? I don't know that I'm necessarily going to just assume that someone's lying when they say something, but like, I don't want to head down that slippery slope. But I also, like, I don't know. I feel like this is just them, like, pounding their chest. You don't have friends that are not religious, like, or not religious, but whose religion is different. I don't know. It's hard to believe. Every dude who owns a rifle or has ever hunted is apparently a sniper and could easily have dropped a man with a single bullet at 200 yards surrounded by 3,000 people, because it's the same thing as shooting 6 rounds into a dumb animal that is not moving in the middle of the woods. I'm sorry? Have you never hunted? It is difficult. More difficult than hunting a man. Thinking you can be an expert in literally everything because you did it once is a really special kind of mental illness. And thinking that you're a hypocrite. Like, that's exactly what you're doing. You're an expert on dudes with rifles. Just because you, like, I don't know, you think hunting is different than murdering someone, which is true. Arguably, killing a person is easier. Charlie's daughter ran to him yesterday because she was scared. Let that sink in. Her protector, the blueprint example of her future suitors, is now gone. If you don't feel sadness for what happened yesterday, seek God immediately, because the devil has your soul. I'm blessed to have lost followers. I almost sobbed in the middle of saying that. I'm blessed to have lost followers. For posting my condolences to a fellow Christian, a man who stood up who stood on the very morals and values Jesus preached. I do not know, he didn't. I do not associate with people filled with such hatred, and that goes for both sides. For whatever sensationalism you believe Charlie Kirk responsible for, it's clear that he was a loved father and husband. And I don't deny that that was probably the on the footage where the daughter like tries to run to him. That breaks my fucking heart. If I see that, I will start crying. Yeah. Hard to relate. It's hard to relate. It's not impossible. It's hard, but that's what empathy's for. Don't kid yourself. Canada's infected with the same disease that killed Charlie Kirk. Man. Charlie Kirk's death was a direct result of leftist terrorism. You're speculating, because I don't think we have those details yet. Let's refresh the page so we get some more fresher takes. Trump watching people. Trump. I was reading the second one. Watching people celebrate Charlie Kirk's death is just plain nasty. You can hate his politics all you want, but making someone's passing your punchline doesn't make you righteous. It makes you heartless. Death isn't a debate stage, and dancing on someone's grave will never put you on a moral high ground. At the end of the day, he was still a human being. We don't have to agree with someone to show compassion, and if you can't manage that, it says more about you. See, that even performatively, even if it's and I'm not saying that this thread was performative, but even performatively, the Republicans are fucking winning on this, and it's due to the left's advocacy for violence, because I don't know, the right does it all the time, and it's not I'm not saying that it justifies it, but the right does it all the time, so the right is now desensitized to it. But the left, and we don't even know whether the shooter was political or acting politically, like we don't know any of that stuff, so it's all speculation. The left's coverage on Charlie Kirk's assassination is absolutely disgusting. They all refer to him as Trump's ally, and every discussion basically blames him in his rhetoric for his assassination. The political violence and lack of discourse is bad, if not worse, than the 60s. I'll agree that this muddies the waters, but this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for people to reach hands across the aisle and figure things out together. They all refer to him as Trump's ally. Not all. I would say that maybe the major news outlets, which is not really part of the left. Rupert Murdoch owns a lot of those companies, and the other guy, Soros, who owns a lot of the media companies. Usually people who donate to both PACs in some capacity. So it's really less left versus right, and much more corporations versus non-corporations, rich people versus non-rich people, etc. My lips are dry. Sorry for the ASMR. And every discussion basically blames him in his rhetoric for his assassination. I think that it's fair to say that Charlie Kirk and his ilk do build their own environment, but that's their goal. That's their whole spiel, is that they create a platform for, Republicans to say whatever Republicans want to say. That doesn't mean that he set the stage for his own assassination. He could, line up all the circumstances, but it really still comes down to the person to make the choice to kill somebody. I would say that's, it's a bit of a reach. Quoting Charlie Kirk on the 2A to mock his death doesn't make you clever. He stood by his principles and values, knowing liberty is dangerous. Knowing liberty is dangerous? And values knowing liberty is dangerous. What? Are you saying that liberty is dangerous? So freedom is dangerous? Oh, the millennial realtor. There you go. That explains it. Real estate people tend to be pretty happy about fascism because it drives up the housing market. If the government was to buy a lot of properties, that real estate agent would make a lot of money. How many threaders will continue Charlie Kirk's message of faith, family, and freedom? We are forever friends now. Again, galvanization. You're missing the point. Charlie Kirk's death has layers. 1, they silenced free speech and debate. 2, they killed him because he was important to Trump winning in 2024. 3, they... Didn't you say 2 point? Oh, not layers, sorry. 3, they took a valuable piece off the board for 2028. Nobody believes that Kirk was gonna be a politician. Come on. Okay, if any of the viewers know anything about Kirk running for office, let me know, because I don't think that was in the cards at all. I think that he was happy being co-CEO of Turning Point. I think he was happy being a media spokesperson, like in the space that he was. He seemed to thrive in it. I do not believe that he had any intentions of running for any kind of office. It's been over 24 hours since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. The killer who remains at large could easily have crossed into Canada, which is about 850 miles from Orem, Utah by now. Sure, but he could also still be in the country. He could also be dead. Anything is possible. Speculating only puts you on a platform, and that doesn't really do anybody any good. Charlie's death caused a revival. This I know. The more you press us, the more we'll multiply. You know? Galvanization. Left is talking about Charlie Kirk around the same way they do when they talk about Joe Rogan. They literally don't know shit about either of them. They never listen to them at all. They hate them because somebody told them to. Then they claim others are indoctrinated. I mean, again, there's more pot calling the kettle black here. Like, how do I say this in a way that makes sense? So indoctrination is when you inject ideas into people's brains from a very young age, and you kind of like teach them how to be, how to think, and how to feel, or you at least restrict their thought processes. And I think that a whole community of people that puts their entire life into one book, yet they don't read that book, I think that it puts them in a very bad position when they're talking about how shitty other people are, or how others are indoctrinated, or how are saying that it's like shitty that people are saying that you're indoctrinated, because you're not doing your studies, you're not doing your empirical searching for knowledge. Once you've established a claim, you're not doing any of that. I mean, you're just, you know, I don't know. How do I you know, I'm still trying to find the way to word that correctly, or word it in a way that makes sense. So here's the thread. Interesting. Let's get this straight. Charlie Kirk never promoted violence. Every post claiming otherwise is a lie, and they know it. What? He openly stated that blacks were better off as slaves. Is that calling for violence? Are you saying that, like, is Kirk saying that black people should be slaves, or is he trying to rewrite history? That's a very different thing. There is a distinction between the two. I think it's important to make that distinction. That's not calling for violence. His glorification of racial violence and death on a mass scale is well documented. Did you provide that documentation? He made $12 million stoking racial hatred, bigotry, and anger in a new generation so that they will act it out for him. Again, I think that it's fair to say that these people create the environments for themselves, and people then ultimately choose to either follow or not follow them. And that's their choice. So, yeah. If someone is going to follow Charlie Kirk because of something that he says, it's because they agree with it, and it's because they were, and in the end, they were already going to follow someone else if it wasn't Charlie Kirk for saying the same ideas. So we can't say that Charlie Kirk himself was responsible for, you know, racial violence or anything like that, just because of the things that he said. You would have to look at the deeds. All the things that he did in his lifetime would add up to whether or not he ever advocated for violence. And I've done a little bit of the research already, and I know that he didn't. Like I said, we can stretch the definition of stochastic terrorism if you want. And again, if you want to call in and talk to me about it, I'm willing to have that conversation, but you have to stretch at some point. There has to be, and then there was God, right? There has to be a, and then there was a God. So, just like religious debates, you know, like, where's the God? How did you get to that? How did you get there? And at that point, does that mean that Dennis Prager deserves to die? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't personally done research on the guy, but I would say that rewriting history is not a killable offense. I mean, yeah, it's really shitty, and you should probably like be arrested and put into jail for like trying to like rewrite, you know, like take your Sharpie and like cross out all the history books so little black kids don't learn about how terrible slavery was. Maybe for like 90 days for like destroying, you know, literature or something. I don't know, like some kind of like a fine, maybe target the rich people. Maybe the fine would be like $80 million. Oh no. You know, then they would do it. Then they'd be like, okay, I guess I'll still do it anyway, and I'll pay the money to the government. Then we would all be rich. We would live like we were rich. Nah, they still wouldn't give it to us. They'd probably pocket it. You know, all those gold bars in Fort Knox, right? That were now, I guess, that were missing, and then now they're not. To support Nazi ideology is promoting violence. He openly condoned gun deaths in order to preserve his God-given gun rights, and he did it right after shooting that killed 3 kids and 3 adults. I suggest deleting your post. I think it's worth to have a cost, comma. Unfortunately, I really dislike the guy. His views were far to right and fucked up, but his death is not justifiable. I agree. If you know someone in your circle who is actively justifying it, tell them to come here and get in voice chat so that I can try to understand where they're coming from, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I told my wife this. I already told her about the news. She doesn't watch the news or really pay attention to politics or anything like that. But I told her yesterday when we were taking the dogs on a walk, I was like, I feel so pissed off that I'm actively mourning a guy who I fucking hated. And I think more what I'm mourning is the reaction. The fact that people are like fucking celebrating it. Like when Obama won his presidency. Like, shit, man. It's crazy. It makes me feel crazy. It makes me feel like I'm a fucking righty for thinking that there's no justification for death. Like, fuck, man. I think, if anything, I guess what I hope to reveal here is some weakness in the party system. What I hope to reveal is some, within my own mind, is some kind of, insight as to how we can fight the violence itself as both liberals and conservatives. Like, I am, quote, liberal/Democrat, and I more despise that than other people in the same party as I am. Is just as harmful. I'm ashamed. Well, yeah, no shit, dude. Like, fuck, man. I feel so bad. Like, and as I said before, if you're the kind of person that's going to advocate for any violence of any sort, then what we can very safely assume is that there's something broken inside you that caused you to become this way. There's some conditioning that happened along the way that either delegitimized how impactful death can be, or reduced the mental strain that killing a person could have, or something. There's something along the way where that had to have happened, whether it's a trauma or a conditioning of some sort that had to happen in order for a person to think that it's okay for death, for a person to murder another person. And I would suggest, if you disagree with this, I know I said I wouldn't put it up on screen again, but I'm not going to read it. If you disagree with this, then I would encourage you to find some kind of a specialist that you can talk to, where you can confront whatever it is that is cracked or broken within you, and so you can gain a little bit of empathy. It really usually just takes some distance and a little bit of perspective, which is funny because, you would think that flat earthers would be all over mental health. I wish I could zoom in on my face right now. I gotta have a smash zoom button, because there are certain times that I want to punctuate things with facial expressions. Oh, thanks, Rydell. I appreciate that. Did I say your name right, Rydell? I think I've seen a name, I know that I've known someone named Rydell before, but I didn't even know that it was spelled like that. Looks cool. I don't know if a name can be cool. I think that my username on a lot of shooters is cool. I call myself Goosetooth. I think that's because goose don't have teeth. That's not cool. It's cool to me because it's funny. Damn it. Oh, I'm such a goober. Oh, okay, cool. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me know I got it right. I scalded it yesterday. I called it yesterday. Charlie Kirk's suspected assassin is a suspected trans woman. Now are you ready to listen to me about regulations needed on who is allowed to transition? So my guess is this is a trans person who is an anti-trans advocate. I guess. I don't know. Also, I sorry, I have a dog hair on my mic. I'm trying to find it. There, you got it. I don't know. I'm just assuming, and I don't want to like turn on their audio because they may use words that aren't allowed by TOS. I called it yesterday. Charlie Kirk is a spectrum transfer. Nobody has said that. I don't know if someone can confirm that for me. I don't think that that's been reported yet. I've been following it for the last 3 hours. So if somebody has seen an article pertaining to that, then let me know so I don't speak out of school here. But I don't think there's been any kind of development on the actual profile of the person. And I don't know why that would be any kind of proof for who is or who is not, or who should or should not be allowed to transition. That's just a weird tangent. I know that I see that this person is talking more, or this person's talking a lot about testosterone. And I mean, I've taken testosterone supplements before, and they're not like prescribed, you know, like actual testosterone, and they don't make you violent. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, like, yeah, from what I heard, the police were from the first moment referring to him as him, and I know that they don't do that. If it's trans, they refer to them as them. And the pictures that they showed were of a male presenting, and that could be misdirection for all we know. We don't know anything. But you know, the person looked like just a college kid with sunglasses on and a baseball cap on. I think it was a baseball cap. That's it. Looked fairly normal otherwise. I mean, I don't like that they chose the quintessential MCU disguise, because you know what? Maybe the good that will come of this is that now the MCU disguise will be taken off the production Bible. Now maybe you know, Feige will start encouraging more elaborate disguises. Like, say, you know, Falcon wants to like infiltrate an enemy base, and he dresses up as like a clown with squeaky shoes, you know. And then Thanos is like coming back. He's resurrected. He's coming back, and he dresses up like a llama to get into the MCU headquarters. Now that would be interesting. That would be interesting. If you okay, so this is on the other side of the spectrum where people are like, "You're not allowed to think he was bad at all." Now, if you think Charlie Kirk was a bad guy or you disliked him, let me know so I can block you. You can think someone's a shitty person and still not want them to die. You can think that somebody is a shitty person and still not want them to get punished. Like, if you're just a pacifist and you like peace and you just don't want people to like to have any kind of suffering in their life, then you could just wish nothing upon the man and still dislike the things that he says or represents, and even dislike the guy himself. That's all possible. I mean, I guess you could put people in a box if you want. You're gonna limit your social circle, but you can do that. I don't know why I was so verbose with my throat when I said that. You can do that. You can do that. You can do what you want. Anything you want, you can do. You can do what you want. Sorry, I can't multitask. I had to do something on my phone real quick. Liberals, guns are the problem. Also liberals, guns are the solution. I'm sorry, who's saying that? You mean the revolutionaries? Let's get this straight. I think it's important that we really clarify what the left and the right are. They are sides of a spectrum with many different stops along the way to the end. People identify on all along that spectrum. Either you are a fiscal conservative and you're not religious and you don't care about, you know, culture wars issues, you're going to be like right over here. If you are a centrist who believes that schools should have funding, that potholes should get filled, but you also don't necessarily like the trans people, you could be like right here. There's all kinds of different possibilities. But the people all the way over here in fucking Leftalia, in an annex of Leftiopia, they're the revolutionaries. Throughout history, they're the ones with the guns, not the rest of the spectrum. The rest of the spectrum wants to be like, hey, can we talk about this? You know? So if you take like 10 people, and this, you could even say if you took like 1 million people, it still wouldn't be the majority of any one group. So saying the left or saying the right or anything like that, instead of saying left extremist or left fundamentalist or whatever term is more appropriate, if you're not doing that, then you're just painting everyone with the same brush, and that kills any kind of discourse that could happen. And this is one of the biggest opportunities that we've had in recent memory for us to actually try and reach across the aisle and come to some kind of understanding about political violence. And if you don't see this as an opportunity, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I still don't just think that he deserved to die. Like I think that's still a thing. And if you disagree, please feel free to call in and tell me why. Again, the stream is almost, it's going to be over here in like 45 minutes. I will go all the way up to 3, but even if 45 minutes, I think is enough time for me to understand why someone might want to justify this. So please fill me in, help me understand, you know, where you're coming from. My wife just texted me something about Joe Bob. Joe Bob is a media personality who is specific to like horror movies, and he's really cool. If you guys don't know Joe Bob and you've never seen Monster Vision, please check it out. If you like horror movies, like older, like schlockier horror movies, really good show. And it's on Shudder. Sponsor me. Anyway, guns are not necessarily the problem. No, I didn't want to go all the way to the end. No, I didn't want to go all the way back to the top either. There we go. Guns are not necessarily the problem. I don't think there's a whole lot of people who would agree that all guns are bad and that we should just not as a society have guns. I think there's at least most of us who think that there's some chosen, you know, trained, well-regulated militias who should probably have access to weapons if they truly need them. And I'm more on the, you know, guns are cool and I should be able to use them or shoot down range recreationally kind of camp. But if someone took away guns, I wouldn't necessarily miss them. But guns are not themselves the problem. Access to guns being so comprehensive and so loose and so without oversight or regulation, aside from a weight or a background check, that I think is what most people have a problem with. I'm kind of like, I would consider myself a bit of a libertarian in that sense, in that I don't think that the government should be able to tell you what you can and cannot do. But I know that some of that is necessary in order to avoid unnecessary violence. And so I live within that part of society, and I understand that it's a necessary part. In that same breath, though, I can say that guns are both a problem and solution to things. It just depends on what you agree is the proper solution or answer to whatever it is you're trying to use guns for. They are simply a tool. But again, I did say before, and I'll stand by it, that if you are a hammer, or if you're made to be a hammer, then everything's going to look like a nail. Apparently, whatever she wanted to do was way too expensive, so there you go. Charlie Kirk's death, which I don't approve of, is shown several times on social media, sometimes in slow motion. Irina Zautska is murdered in cold blood. At first, no one reacts because everyone is busy with their cell phones. Or the right-wing scene exploits the murder. What remains are the bereaved, a father, brother, mother, sister. Social media has made users numb and unempathetic. Is unempathetic correct? Without empathy. No. Is it unempathetic? That sounds so weird. Someone with better knowledge of words, tell me, is it unempathetic? Or do you just have to kind of like make up a word? I'm sure the opposite of empathy probably has a... I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Lack of empathy, I guess? And lacks empathy, I guess I would say, in place of that. A whole generation of assholes is coming our way. The series Black Mirror warned us, then is now. Oh my god, dude. Now we're getting into the weird stuff. Okay, now we're getting into a little bit of weird stuff. I don't know if I agree with all of that. If the Black Mirror is like upon us. Charlie Kirk's assassination was a turning point for America. Good play on words there. Nice platforming and fetishization of someone's death. The last bastion of free speech in the world. Really? What we do as a nation will echo in the annals of history. Don't just post nice things. Act on the values Charlie actively defended when he was shot. He was Christian first. He actively defended the gospel of Jesus Christ. He defended our constitutional right to free speech, and he had the courage to speak the truth boldly, openly, and unashamedly, often surrounded by those who hated him. I mean, yeah, you know, he wasn't necessarily always surrounded by people who hate him. He really was surrounded by his family, his friends, his social circle, and peers. So I don't know that he necessarily like waded through the perdition of hatred just to get to where he did. He was a rich guy. He had rich friends. He was kind of living a whatever life he wanted to. I don't know that people on the right are necessarily happy with their standard of living, but if they fight so much against taxing, they might enjoy their style of life just a little bit, perhaps, and not want to see that go away. What a beautiful conversation that Charlie allowed to encourage as he did every single day of his life. I witnessed it firsthand. This is literally one of the 1,000 examples of his kindness. He was not kind necessarily. I think that there was a side of Charlie Kirk that probably people didn't see. I think that there was, you know, a loving father in there somewhere. He was always in a fervor. He was never dispassionate. He was never like, oh, well, I don't care what you say. It was more like, here's where I think you're going wrong, and here's why I think this is wrong, and yada, yada, yada. It may have been a Gish Gallop every now and again. It may have been a straw man every now and again. He may have used logical fallacies to make his points, but that doesn't change whether or not he believed those points. He very well could have believed everything he believed. He said to people, and it simply had to be that he had to be taught how to use language in a debate format, and that might have just been what he stuck with. But I feel like the people surrounding this event are both making him a martyr and look worse than he did, or than he does. You know, the people that are glazing him are being a little overbearing in their glazing, and the people that are ripping him are encouraging political violence. So it's like, where the fuck is the happy medium? Where the fuck is the middle? I find myself so confused. I'm so confused. I like, and why is it this? Why is it this? Why wasn't it over Jan 6th? Why wasn't it over the last, you know, when Trump became president the last time? Like, I know that there are plenty of people who were like, oh, I can't wait for this motherfucker to die so I can dance on his grave. Saying that and doing it are two different things. Ah, man. I mean, 9-figure, isn't that in the billions? I need everyone to understand that if you want Charlie Kirk dead for his opinions, you want half the country dead. You are calling for a 9-figure, and that'd be like hundreds of millions, I guess. You're calling for a 9-figure genocide. No, you're not. I think that it's one thing to say, I'm glad somebody's dead, and it's another thing to say, I want somebody dead. I don't think that anybody's necessarily saying that they wanted him dead. I think they're just saying that they're glad that he's gone. If I can try and wrap my head around the justification a little bit. But again, it would be best if I just had somebody in the Discord who could talk to me, tell me their opinion on why they think that it's justified. I'd be happy to hear it. Checking in on liberals who got fired today. How did your posts work for you? Fucking Christ. See, that's ghoulish. That's like just celebrating, like, I get that you're angry that people are celebrating somebody's death, but that's not, again, grounds to remove somebody's livelihood from them. This Charlie Kirk incident has caused people to lose their jobs because of an opinion. Death shouldn't be celebrated. Oh my god, it's like it's following the last one. How the narrative changes is what causes the reaction of millions. How can we be free speech when all it does get you ostracized? I'm not here to judge you for how you feel, but don't get mad when my views differ from yours. What are you talking about? Like, are you just making the same fucking justification? It caused people to lose their jobs. I don't think that's true, first of all. Second of all, it's probably a few cases. Third of all, who gives a shit? Second of all, or point one of all, I don't give a shit. How the narrative changes is what causes the reaction of millions. What are you talking about? What has changed? I don't think we really know anything new. We should create a holiday called Charlie Kirk Day. You see this guy's username? Need I say more? We should create a holiday called Charlie Kirk Day. Charlie's a martyr and died preaching what he believed, and that should be honored. I don't know if I agree with that. Pushing gun control in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination is beyond tone deaf. The problem is not firearms, it's the lack of self-control from... What is this lack of self-control from Democrats? If liberals spend less time trying to silence opponents with violence, when have we silenced people with violence? Who are they talking about? If liberals spent less time trying to silence opponents with violence, then the more time controlling their emotions, we would not be here. What the fuck? Oh man, okay. How many more crimes must Democrats commit before they're declared a domestic terror organization? Holy fudgeroni. That is a crazy take. I mean, I don't know why someone, first of all, would think that pushing for gun control in the wake of gun violence on the same day as a school shooting is tone deaf. It's exactly the tone of the things that have happened. It's like literally part of the 24 hours news cycle. It's like right there. The problem is not firearms, it's access to firearms. It's lack of self-control from the Democrats. Where do you get that? What would ever tell you that that is a thing? What? Self-control? You have, so this, again, this just kind of dovetails with what I said earlier about the fact that the people who are criticizing have to presume that leftists like murdering people. They have to assume, you have to have assumed in your very core that leftists are violent murderers. And usually that comes with like, oh, well, you guys murder millions of babies, or oh, you guys let a bunch of illegals across the border who rape and kill a bunch of people. Like, none of that is true. You have to assume that stuff in order to have this opinion. Nobody, the left is not silencing anybody with violence. Who is the left collectively silencing? I'd love to know. If you think that this is true, who is the left silencing? Brad, I knew Trump and his apostles were going to deflect from the Epstein files, but wow, yeah, no, my wife actually asked this question. She said, do you think this is all just a distraction from the Epstein files? Like things are just, because it's been escalating, like the distractions have been escalating. And it's like, this is just a morbid addition to that. Oof. You know, I can only imagine, the conspiracy theorist in me who imagines these things happening can only fathom that they're sitting in this like dark room, like dimly lit room where it's like Trump and his cronies, his like circle, his, hey, what shall we do to subvert the leftists today? Those kinds of guys, like they're all like gathered around a table and they're like, which one of us can die? Well, certainly it's not me. I've got a summer home. You know, like I think that they probably like kicked around this idea and they're like, you know, who can we lose? And it just happened to be that guy. I don't think that there was a conspiracy. I mean, it might. You never know. Really, you never know. And I think it would be folly to assume anything. Speculation is fun, but it's just that. It's only fun. Charlie Kirk was assassinated because of political ideologies. So is MLK. It's not a race issue. It's a hate issue. Oh, man. Do you really want to set yourself up that badly? What exactly is the hate issue that you're talking about? Let's elaborate on that. I'm sorry, who hating who is... I'm sorry? Could you be more specific, Amanda Lynn? Amanda Lynn. See, I need a smash zoom button so I can zoom in on my... When I do... Because I wanted... Are you like... Really? Amanda Lynn? It's a hate issue. I agree, but you're posting your L here. It is a hate issue. You guys hate black people. At least that's what this comment is suggesting. In a not all too unsubtle way. Ow, I got a Charlie horse in my neck. Oh, God. You gotta stretch. If you're a streamer, if you're a content creator, remember that you gotta stretch and hydrate. Twitch tells me all the time. Ow. Oh man, and I've been sleeping so crazy on my like sort of like halfway on my side. Ow. So like my back's been all messed up last couple of days. It's like I don't know how to describe this. Any side sleepers in the chat? Any side sleepers? Anyone who does side sleeping on their bed at night? Well, that's also me. But it's because recently I've been kind of training myself to lay on my back when I go to sleep, and I think what happens is like my body has like that muscle memory where it's like I'm trying to keep myself stable, but you don't need to do that when you're laying on your back. So like my muscles are working while I'm sleeping, and it feels like I'm tired when I wake up. Like it's got I have this like too tight rubber band going down the length of my back. It sucks. It's all about sleep posture. When I sleep on my stomach, it doesn't happen. Why do you keep farting? She will not stop farting. Don't put a puppy on whatever diet or whatever the change is that we gave this one, but oh my god, it smells like she took a shit in here. And she's all looking proud and looking at me like, hey, I'm a cute baby. Yeesh. I just cannot fathom how these liberals, not fringe folks on social media, but network TV commenters can sit there after this despicable assassination and lecture conservatives. The repeat victim. I'm sorry, what? On how we can do better. Just shut up, just stop. Tommy Lahren. Oh, fuck you. God, I hate this fucking ghoulish bitch. So, the repeat victims of political violence? I know that you're just talking about Trump, but like, that's just not the case. I mean, when was the last time that a white man was hung in Chattanooga by a lynch mob? When was the last time a white nightclub, a white straight nightclub, was burned down or shot up? When's the last time a Christian church was bombed or threatened to be bombed? Like, God, again, you have to be a firm believer that the left murders millions of babies. You have to be a believer that, you know, that being gay is a mortal sin. You have to believe that being trans is a mortal sin. You have to believe that being a liberal is a mortal sin in order to believe that we on the left side of the spectrum are as evil as people describe. It's and to think that the right is somehow a victim of more political violence than the left? Fuck. Of course, I wouldn't expect a propagandist to be self-aware, but holy shit. Charlie Kirk wasn't murdered, he was martyred. That's why this feels different. That's why Christians feel such grief. Gosh, it's really sad how people are strongly voicing how they have no empathy for Charlie Kirk. God forbid this happens to you, your family, loved ones, speaking your beliefs, which we are all entitled to. Yeah. again, this only reinforces points that the right has been making this whole time. They keep saying that you're trying to take away their right to speak. Killing one of them kind of solidifies that. And whatever you believe, whether you think you're taking a piece off the board, it's a pawn. Like, there's no strategic advantage to this. If it wasn't Charlie Kirk, it would have been someone else, and it's gonna be someone else. And they're gonna probably be more extreme and more violent off the back of this. I'm so, like I said, I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed that I am mourning for a man who I fucking hated. Well, I think I got it mostly out of my system, okay? I apologize if you were tuning in for video games, because we didn't do any of that. So, apologies. I am going to cut the stream here, so I appreciate to those of you who came out. 126 views on a live stream for my personal YouTube. Oh my god, for my personal YouTube, that kind of counts as viral, so congrats to me. Thanks you so much. Thanks you so much. I appreciate it. I hope that this is, you know, a sign that the community is growing, and I hope that you guys stick around for at least Mondays and Tuesdays, where we bring people in to talk. You can call in on either of those days. Mondays we do tarot readings. I call them free tarot readings, but I think when someone sees the word free, they think that there's like a catch implied, which I just want it to be implicit that there's no catch. So tarot readings. I'm using them as a tool to incorporate some critical thought and self-analysis into your normal like life. So if you like using spirituality as kind of like a tool for other means, for more practical means, or if you just think that tarot's fun, then you're more than welcome to join. Monday and Tuesday, those will be talk days. Wednesdays and Thursdays are dedicated to playing video games. Lately, it's been Battlefield, but that's going to change as soon as Borderlands comes out. We'll be basically spamming that all day, day. But yeah, so please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you sticking around, and I don't mind covering this stuff, but I did want to wait till the channel actually grew a little bit more so that there'd be an established community, so it's not just like, you know, just willy-nilly. But either way, I appreciate it. And as I said before, the more the community grows, the more I'll be able to do this. So if I can get to a point where I'm doing this every day, I wouldn't mind doing it for like 10 hours a day. I really wouldn't. I love doing this kind of stuff. I just love like talking to my community and engaging and all this kind of stuff. So if you like that kind of stuff too, then help me out, engage, you know, do a thing. I don't know what that is because I'm an old man, but thanks for sticking around. Have a good one, guys. Gosh darn it. Enjoy the rest of your days and weeks and all that kind of stuff.